Hello, Big Dumb Movie listeners. I want to thank you all for your patience with my minimal podcast releases lately. Life has been life. You know how it goes. If you do want to hear more from me, there was a podcast I guest appeared on. This was on the Total Movie Recall YouTube channel where we discussed all of the X-Men movies. That was so much fun and frankly something I just needed to do in my life. Find that podcast on YouTube by searching the name of the video, which is titled, Why Do We Love the Fox X-Men Movies? If you search that exact title, you will find it. Total Movie Recall is the name of the channel. Don't miss it. I also have a link to that in the description. Also, and most importantly, my friend and collaborator, review dude Josh, has a new YouTube channel that is blowing up. It's called Oh No It's Alex Streams, where he creates clips and highlights for Oh No It's Alex's live streams. If you don't know, Oh No It's Alex is a popular gaming content creator, but these videos that Josh makes are just gold. Please do check out Josh's new channel. Even if you don't have context, the videos are so funny. Link to that in the description as well. Thank you very much.
Big Dumb Movie is a comedic podcast that often contains obscene language and outlandish commentary. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Big Dumb Movie Ninja Edition, where we discuss ninja movies of the big dumb variety. I'm here recording live in the flesh with review dude Josh Pinson. Say hello, sir.
Holy shit, I'm finally here, guys. I made it out to California. I'm recording in person. I finally sound good for once, so people that's always complained about my quality or something,
They will complain no more.
they'll still find something to complain about, trust me.
Yeah, Josh is here in the studio recording live in person. We've been hanging out all weekend. We did some fun stuff, but now this time we're reviewing a movie. We're finally getting to the 1995 live-action Mortal Kombat, one of the original video game movies ever made, and maybe one of the greats. We'll see what we have to say. You know, we'll give our thoughts shortly, but maybe one of the greats. But before we talk about this movie, Josh, I want to bring up the discussion of video game adaptations. You know, we've talked about Mortal Kombat live-action movies. We've talked about MK Annihilation, MK 2021, but I don't think we've talked about, like, how the adaptations stand up overall. Or maybe we have and I just forgot. But usually when people think of live-action video game adaptations, they think of movies. It doesn't have to be movies, though. Are there some live-action adaptations that you like?
Okay, so for the longest time, like, Mortal Kombat 1995 was just the GOAT. The pickings for video game adaptations were slim to fucking none. Your options were 1995's Mortal Kombat or Uwe Ball's A House of the Dead. Or Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
It's like, what are you gonna pick, you know?
Yeah, those are your, like, extremes of quality. So, like, Mortal Kombat 1995 just always wins by default. Now, recently, I'm going to say we've gotten better as a society adapting As a society adapting these. Like, I think Sonic 2 was very good. Way better than the original. That last action scene, I had a lot of fun watching it.
I don't know the Sonic movies. I never watched them, Josh. But I'm going to take a guess, because I saw the trailer, that in Sonic 2, right, Knuckles shows up and he's the bad guy, and Sonic has to fight him. But then it's Batman v Superman, and they gotta be friends and fight the real bad guy. Am I close?
How did you know that name?
Martha? Save Tail. Save Miles.
Save Miles. Yeah. What I thought was very cute is they got the voice actor that played Tails from the video game to reprise her role as Tails in the movie. So that's fun.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Idris Elba really works as Knuckles, I think, too. The way they play Knuckles, the way he's written, is kind of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, metaphors and all that type. Like,
So they made Knuckles fun.
yeah, it's very, very charming.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, I liked Knuckles when I was a kid because, like, in the 90s, a lot of media, like comic books, TV shows, movies, they did this thing where there was, like, the main character, and then there was, like, an extreme anti-hero version of that main character. So that was Knuckles in the Sonic universe, right? He came out in Sonic 3, and he was, like, a bad guy, but then he was, like, not a bad guy. And I kind of like that. I liked that with Spider-Man. Venom was my favorite character for a long time. Well, Venom and Wolverine. But, like, you know, they always had, like, the crazier version of the main character. It's, like, the same kind of powers, but, like, with more power.
Yeah, they eventually got around because Knuckles did become a hero, so they had to introduce a new anti-hero, so they introduced the Black Hedgehog, Shadow. It was all about guns.
Shadow uses guns?
Shadow uses guns, and I think he has a slide.
It's weird. Yeah, I mean, Sonic stuff is weird to me. Again, my Sonic, like, lore and knowledge just goes back to Sonic 3. After that, like, there's a lot of really shitty Sonic games out there. From what I've seen, just from online gameplay, I feel like there's more shitty ones than good ones. I don't know if that's true or not, but, you know, there's some good Sonic classics. I'm glad that you like that movie. There are some video game adaptations that I'll probably never watch, and the Sonic series is one of them, so it's never going to happen for me. I probably will never watch the animated Super Mario Bros. Movie because I just don't give a shit about animated movies. It's really hard for me to watch that kind of stuff, so I don't care. Unless I was going to see it with my kid, it's not happening. So for me, the video game adaptation that takes the cake, which is not a movie, is The Last of Us.
I haven't seen that. I didn't play the games, I didn't watch the show. I'm aware of the controversial sequel to the game, so I was waiting to see if they shit the bed on the show.
The show is good, right? There's only one season at the time of this recording, and at the time of this recording, it's good. I know if someone's listening to this in the future and season 2 is horrible, I'm sorry, but it wasn't out yet, okay? I promise you.
It's a very Walking Dead situation.
The Last of Us is like The Walking Dead meets The Mandalorian. And I'm not just saying that because it stars Pedro Pascal. It uses the classic thing that we talked about semi-recently at Spoilers, which is the lone wolf and cub formula. I think it works really well if the story around it is right. And The Last of Us is my kind of show. I like the bleak, tragic, really heavy kind of media. It's particularly with streaming shows that I watch. I like it to be bleak and heavy. To me, like, that's where it's at. Animated stuff doesn't really do it for me, but you know, I feel like there was a long time when studios were like, we're gonna make the one good video game adaptation. So like studios kept trying to do this thing where it's like, this ain't your mama's World of Warcraft.
I didn't even finish the Warcraft movie.
Yeah, right. So there was Warcraft, which was supposed to be like the one that was, this one's gonna be good.
It was directed by Duncan Jones, who had clout coming off of Moon.
Yeah.
And nobody showed up.
Well, I mean, apparently it wasn't very good. But, like, also in that era, there was other movies like that. Remember, they got Jake Gyllenhaal for fucking Prince of Persia. That was supposed to be the big one.
Oh my god, I forgot that movie existed. That's the movie where it came out and it bombed. I read this, so it must be true. He fired his agent after that movie, and he wanted to take his career in a different direction, and hence you got things like Nightcrawler. Enemy? Is that the movie?
That's a good one.
Yeah. So he had a complete shift in career after Prince of Persia bombed.
I can see that. And you know, it's not the only one like that. Another movie I completely mix up with that one is Assassin's Creed. Michael Fassbender.
I didn't even bother.
I watched it. I saw it in theaters. And like a lot of video game movies at the time, I was like, it's pretty meh. Right? Which to me is like a really bad sign of a movie. A movie can be really bad or really good. Either way, right? I kind of will take it. But if it's like a meh, then it's like, that's the worst thing you can do.
That's the worst thing you can do.
That's the most offensive movie you can make.
Yes, exactly.
Because there's not even like talking points really. Like it's like,
what do you even say? It's vanilla fucking paper bread.
Yeah.
White paper bread. Like,
right.
I'm probably going to get shit for it, but I don't particularly even like the Assassin's Creed story. So
I know it's really famous. I don't know anything about it.
Like the idea of you're in the future, but you're living out these assassinations through some kind of virtual reality type of horseshit. I've only ever played the first game, guys. I don't give a shit.
That sounds like an 80s concept when you like describe it like that. It sounds like it'd be like the Lawnmower Man or something. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, because there was always through virtual reality, anything's possible. Even in Congo, when they do Amy's like glove where she can do sign language to speech, they say now with the implementation of virtual reality, and it's like, what does virtual reality have to do with this?
Well, because virtual reality, it's big. It's the 90s.
Yeah.
Was the term virtual reality used in Hackers?
Probably.
I have no idea, but I get a feeling it was. If I were to put money on it right now, I would put money on it was.
Maybe. Hackers was interesting because they used a lot of like accurate terminology in terms of like the hacking of
Gibson?
that era. That was a real thing, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, a lot of those things were real. But what they show on screen is not real. So like all the math equations that are going on, like they're just making shit up at that point. So like the characters are saying accurate things, but what you're seeing is like, you know, peering into the world of cyberspace.
You're telling me the Da Vinci virus doesn't exist in real life?
Yeah. The Vitruvian Man virus or whatever.
You're telling me when I hack the Gibson, I'm not gonna see a literal like wormhole on my screen that prompts up a bunch of like.
This all goes back to weird science.
Yeah.
This all goes back to weird science where, you know, in order to create this woman, they hack into like the government database to extract power. They're extracting literal like electricity, and they're like going through virtual gates, and they go down one corridor and there's like a skull, so they go backwards. Very weird stuff.
Man, the 80s computers, internet hacking was out of this world. It was fucking next level.
But moving topics a little bit, Josh, we got video game adaptations, and in 1995, we got Mortal Kombat, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. This movie was something special at the time because this game was the game. This was the biggest fucking game around.
Talk about a perfect time to capitalize on a popular IP that just happens to be in the pop culture focus at that time. Like it was perfect capitalization on it. It was lightning in a bottle. I know I use that term quite a bit, but
this one for real.
This one for real.
And Lawrence Kasanoff recognized this, Josh.
Yes, he did. He did. From what I understand, he was in charge of James Cameron's, like, I think video game type division or something at the time. And
yes, him and James Cameron founded a studio called Lightstorm Entertainment.
Lightstorm.
So for those that don't have any context for Lawrence Kasanoff, Hollywood producer of the 90s is a short way to describe him.
Or as his friends call him, Larry. So for the time being, I'm going to call him Larry. So Larry goes to Midway, who makes obviously the Mortal Kombat games, but he went to them in order to get a Terminator 2 arcade game made. Corey, you've played this game.
The Terminator 2 arcade game is incredible.
Yeah.
It's like one of the classic arcade staples. But also, there was like a Sega Genesis port, which was pretty fucking sick as well.
So you would know that they used actors, like Mortal Kombat. It was actors digitized into a video game.
Yeah, it's absolute classic, especially for shooting games of that era. They did that in a few other games as well.
Yeah.
There's like a Wild West one that I don't remember the name of, but very similar style, yes.
Yeah, Midway with Mortal Kombat really, really made that popular. So he found some sort of relationship with them when he went to get that Terminator game made, and I guess he saw potential in the Mortal Kombat IP and brand, because he doubled the fuck down on this IP.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to not just make a movie, he wanted to make Mortal Kombat in all forms of media. So he brought along Mortal Kombat Conquest, Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, which was like an animated thing, and Mortal Kombat The Live Tour. So I know of these things, but Mortal Kombat Conquest is one I don't remember. You're kind of a Mortal Kombat historian. Do you remember what that is?
For anyone that doesn't know, I'm a Mortal Kombat aficionado. to an extent. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that being said, yeah, I watched the entirety of Mortal Kombat Conquest, the 90s live action show. Like,
90s live action show. So it was a live action show.
it was a live action show. I think I watched it through to its entirety at least twice, maybe 3 times. So I'm fairly familiar with a lot of plot arcs. The controversial finale.
What is the controversial finale? Don't leave the listeners in suspense now.
Do the listeners want to hear spoilers for the 90s Conquest show? Well, it doesn't.
Yeah, we can spoil stuff this way.
It doesn't fucking matter.
I only put spoiler warnings if it's new. Go ahead.
Okay, so the idea of the show is that it is a true prequel to the 90s movies, Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's supposed to be canon with those movies. And yet somehow, in the finale, Shao Kahn kills absolutely everyone in the show. Even characters that are supposed to come back and be alive in the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. We're not talking like minor characters. We're talking Katana, Shang Tsung.
Hornbuckle?
Hornbuckle, of all people, was murdered in cold blood. But it was a basic dunk on Raiden. Shao Kahn is pulling out all this memorabilia, like I fucking teabagged Kung Lao. I wrecked Sub-Zero. I fucking mutilated Katana. I murdered my own guy with Shang Tsung. Everyone is dead at the end of the show. And the idea was they were going to come back for a second season, and the Elder Gods were going to come in and rewind time because Shao Kahn technically broke a rule or some horse shit.
The Elder Gods can do anything? They can rewind time? They have unlimited powers or what?
They do and they don't. It's whatever the plot needs them to do, which is convenient. But so the idea was they were going to bring all of these characters back, but the show was just absolute dog shit. Nobody cared. So they just leave it on this cliffhanger of everybody's just fucking dead now. And the bad guys win. But yeah.
Yeah, so not all of these properties lasted, I think is one of the points you're making here. You know, the live action tour, whatever, MK Live, it went around for like a little bit less than a year. I think there was one season of that animated show that I mentioned earlier. You know, these things were cool when you're a kid because you have more Mortal Kombat stuff. And I've talked about this before, but video games and comic books were not represented that well in mainstream media a lot. And I don't mean CNN News when I say that. I mean, like, you know, within the realm of like TV shows and stuff and movies, there wasn't a lot of video games and there wasn't a lot of comic book stuff. So when I saw something like, to take a sidestep, The Wizard, which was about like video games in a movie, I was like, this is kind of cool. They're talking about video games. Not a lot of people talk about these when I watch movies. So I like stuff like that. But Mortal Kombat is not a movie where they play the game within the movie. It is an adaptation of the story of Mortal Kombat. And the story of Mortal Kombat has changed a lot, as you well know, Josh. But in the beginning, like when you look at Mortal Kombat 1, it feels like, and I think it is directly inspired from things like Enter the Dragon, 1, and then the other one that's very noticeable to me is Big Trouble in Little China.
I'm almost fairly sure the developers of Mortal Kombat have cited Big Trouble in Little China. Fucking Steve would know his name. Lightning or something as direct Thunder as direct inspiration of Raiden with all the lightning powers and shit like that. It's so obvious that you can't deny it. You know what I mean?
Well, what about Shang Tsung, right?
Shang Tsung was inspired by Lo Pan.
Absolutely. I mean, he looks like him in the game, right?
Yeah.
He's like the crazy old man.
Crazy old man has all these crazy kooky powers.
Yeah.
He was supposed to do more shit in the original arcade game, but they ran out of memory.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, the limitations of those old games not being able to flesh out things the way they wanted. But what's cool about Mortal Kombat is, like, there's a story behind everything that's going on. So you get to see the story, like if you're standing at an arcade cabinet and you're just waiting and you don't put in a quarter, it will like show a panel of a character and it'll give a little bit about their backstory. And that's kind of a cool thing because I don't remember seeing that at all, like at a Street Fighter cabinet.
They didn't. You didn't know shit about the story of Street Fighter until you beat in Bison, and then you got a little like text prompt saying, of Chun-Li saying, you know, I beat you for revenge for murdering my father, and then you're like, oh, there was a revenge thing behind that.
Yeah, for Bison that was Tuesday when that happened. They should add that. They should retroactively add that to Street Fighter 2 ports. For him, it was Tuesday.
Absolutely.
See, I didn't know there was any story at all in the Street Fighter, so that's kind of cool. At least there's a little bit of something there. But, like, it's Street Fighter. If you're, like, standing at the arcade cabinet just waiting before you put in a coin, it's two guys on the street, and one guy knocks another guy out with one punch, and then, like, the camera tilts up to the sky, and it says Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
It tilts up to the logo.
Yeah, so, like, that's, you know, you're led to believe it's about people street fighting.
Yeah.
But it's really not.
It's really not. I guess the implication is by the time you get to the final boss, and he's obviously a dictator, you're supposed to be like, oh, we're not just fighting on the streets anymore.
No, I forgot. We're fighting for the fate of the world.
I can't imagine. If anyone doesn't know, Jean-Claude was also asked to be in Mortal Kombat. I often wonder how he would have delivered Lyndon Ashby's lines. It would have been something else. It would have been a different movie entirely. But Jean-Claude wasn't playing second fiddle to an Asian man.
Jean-Claude Van Damme was offered the role of Johnny Cage in this movie, right? You mentioned that. Now, people have said, and this story has changed depending on who you ask, but people have said that in the original game, the character of Johnny Cage was modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, you can kind of see that because there's also some Bloodsport influence in Mortal Kombat, the first game, and Jean-Claude Van Damme wears a certain style of like pants/shorts in Bloodsport, and it's a little similar in the first Mortal Kombat game. So it's kind of the Bloodsport look. And he is the Hollywood actor that some people say is a martial artist, but maybe he's not a real martial artist, maybe he's just a Hollywood guy. But here's something that is interesting about that. Daniel Pesina, who played Johnny in the game, this guy has said that Johnny Cage was not modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme. So the actor that played Johnny Cage in the first game says, actually no, he was not modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now it's possible that he was, but this guy didn't know. But I feel like he was probably involved in these inner workings of making the game well enough to know if that was true at the time.
Is there a date on that? Because I'm gonna cry a little bullshit because at the time of this recording, Mortal Kombat 1 was released, and obviously there's a Jean-Claude Van Damme Johnny Cage skin, and they have come out and said the original idea for Mortal Kombat was a Jean-Claude Van Damme video game.
Sort of. I don't know if it was going to be specifically based on Bloodsport, but yes,
they did confirm it. At least they've said. So that does contradict with what they're currently saying.
So the history goes that before they made the first Mortal Kombat game, they wanted to make a Bloodsport game, and they couldn't get the licensing.
Yeah.
I think that's where they say Jean-Claude became Johnny Cage. I think that's where that came from, because Johnny Cage was the first character ever made by the developers in Mortal Kombat. So it's kind of one of those blurred history things. It's kind of like the Big Dumb Movie history, frankly. It's like, it was kind of my idea. It was kind of Alan's idea. It was one of those things. It's like, who said it first? It's like, I think I remember saying it one time, and then we got over it. And then Alan, I know for sure, said it at one point, and that's when we pursued it. So it's a little bit hard to say, right? History can be a few things. Like, one person could have said one thing in one room. Another person could have said something else in a different room. Who knows?
History is written by the victors.
It's written by Shao Kahn, who is the victor of Mortal Kombat and has killed all the players. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're getting into the movie itself, Josh, the 1995 version of Mortal Kombat, which opens with a fucking amazing song.
What a fucking banger, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had to constrain myself from just getting up and just shadow boxing around the room while the movie was going on.
Yeah.
You were telling me that you, growing up with your friends, were like, those flames are fake, but those flames are real.
Oh yeah. Even before I knew how to deconstruct a film, when I was a kid, we tried. So like we were watching Mortal Kombat, we would rent it a lot. You know, we saw it at the drive-in, but we also rented it frequently. And for some reason, we had this idea that like we could spot CGI, even though we couldn't. So like you see the Mortal Kombat logo with all these flames around it, and we're like, that piece of fire is fake, that one is real, that one is fake, that one is real. We had no idea what the fuck we were saying, right? It's like as if like this is a real Mortal Kombat logo with real fire, right? It's all a computer generated effect. It's an animation essentially, right?
Are you telling me you were so taken in, captivated by a reptile special effect that you weren't able to discern if that was the CGI?
That one was real. Yeah.
That one was real. That was all practical effects.
They had to hire an alligator.
What shape is that even supposed to be?
We'll get to Reptile. Let's talk about what's going on in this movie with that sweet intro. First of all, actually, that intro gets people fucking hyped. And it's a great way to start this movie because when people hear that, they're like, this is cool. You're already they're in. So that's a great start. But then we get to the story, and they tell the story in kind of a unique way at an old temple in Thailand. Josh, what's happening here?
Alright, it's a 1v1 match between Shang Tsung and everybody's favorite, Chan.
Chan King?
Chan Kang, who I really think they should probably add into a video game at some point. He doesn't have to be a roster member. He just make him canon in a background scene somewhere. But he's fighting Shang Tsung, which calls into question this is before the tournament. Why are they fighting? It doesn't matter. I guess this is like to see if he's even good enough to even join the tournament, and Shang goes too hard.
Tryouts?
These are tryouts, and Shang kills him in tryouts.
So, like, yeah, if you're not one of the main characters, you have to try out for Mortal Kombat, and you have to face Shang Tsung one-on-one. But if you lose, he will kill you.
He will kill you. You weren't good enough to join the competition. I'm sorry. Everybody else is getting a nice little invitation, though.
It's pretty funny because, you know, we see Shang Tsung, who is hammy as fuck and is amazing as Shang Tsung. He was played by Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, and he is great. He's Johnny Tsunami for those of my age. Classic actor. He fights Chan, who's like, I don't know, a 14-year-old kid.
And the fuck out of this kid.
Mops this kid up, dude. Breaks his arm twice. Breaks his spine.
It's not fair.
He breaks the same arm twice, I think.
He broke it in two spots, or just double broke it.
Bane's the kid. And like, all of this happens, and then Shang Tsung turns to the camera, peers into your soul, and says,
"Your brother's soul is mine. You will be next."
He's telling you, the audience, I just murdered your brother.
And I'm like, I'm an only child, Shang. I don't know who that guy is, but
that's definitely not my brother.
You got the wrong guy.
You got the wrong guy. Can't relate.
So there's a few things to like think about here. This is the motivating factor for Liu Kang in the story. Shang Tsung killed his brother. He murdered his brother. We can dive into this because you and I have seen Mortal Kombat a lot, so that we ask a lot of questions when we watch this movie.
Yeah, I know we just did our recent 100th episode, and one of the criticisms was we spend too much time nitpicking on little details that don't matter. If that's one of your genuine complaints, this isn't the episode for you. You should go ahead and click off now, because that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of little detail stuff. So first of all, Shang Tsung murders Chan. Now, I think it's pretty cool that Shang Tsung didn't just like send one of his guys to go kill Chan. He's like, I'm going to show up at his house.
It's one of the guys in the red mask.
Yeah, the red mask turban guys.
Flee! Flee! Yeah, the flee guy comes at Chan.
He does the flying kick and it connects.
That's good shit.
Or Scorpion or something, right?
Oh my god, what if Sub-Zero just showed up and just started with the ice move?
That would be a cool setup for Sub-Zero, but, you know, then Liu Kang would want revenge on Sub-Zero. But he could get it.
He could get it.
So, Shang Tsung wants to murder Chan for reasons I don't fully understand.
He's just so goddamn killable.
I think he wants Liu Kang to enter the tournament of Mortal Kombat, but I don't know why, because that's like the one guy that can beat him.
Without getting too far ahead, at the end he like completely glosses over Liu Kang. He's like, alright, if Sonya you don't want to fight, Johnny Cage, I challenge you.
Katana,
I challenge you. Why did you even murder Chan?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think the idea at this point in the story, it doesn't fully make sense, though, is that he wants Liu Kang to join the tournament to seek revenge against him. It doesn't really say anywhere that Liu Kang has to join, otherwise they can't win. So if I was Shang Tsung, I'd be like, yeah, Chan can enter the tournament, fine. And then I just wreck him in the tournament.
That's the smarter play, if you want to be honest. Like, why didn't you just do that? Why would you want Liu Kang?
But also, it's very possible that it didn't go down this way, because Liu Kang wakes up and this was his dream. So it's kind of confusing, because it's possible that Shang Tsung killed Chan in this exact way, but it's also possible that it didn't go down like this at all. Like, he just might have shot him.
This is just how Liu Kang envisioned it.
Right.
They had an actual fight, but in reality it was a drive-by.
Yeah, it was Shang Tsung, like, went by in his ship and, like, shot a cannon into Chan's room. Like, the dragon ship is just sailing by the Temple of Light. And he's like, fire!
For you, the day I killed your brother was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Exactly. True bison power play.
True bison power play. I didn't even leave the ship, dog.
So we have Liu Kang, who wakes up in a room that is lit by the color green for some reason. I don't know why it's green, but
it's bathed in green.
Bathed in green. Never made sense to me. You know, this movie makes great use of colors, but that room does not have to be green.
Yeah, why that color? Like, that's your establishing shot of your hero bathed in green with his nightlight? Like, where is that glow coming from?
No idea. But, you know, Liu Kang wakes up. He's kind of thinking about how Chan is dead, thinking about what he's got to do next. And he picks up a Western Union telegram on his desk that says, "Brother dead, return home, grandfather."
That's all you need to know, man. What are you talking about?
A lot of people have commented on this like letter that Liu Kang has. It's shown so briefly, the insert shot, that when I was a kid, I didn't even see it. So like when I was a kid, he picked up something and it went by too fast. But looking at it now, it's like one of those scenarios where it's like the Three Amigos, where I feel like you had to send a telegram but pay per word, like in the Three Amigos. So like the grandpa like scrounged together enough change out of his couch to like send 5 words. Like, that's all I can do. That's all I can afford, bro.
That's the only thing that makes sense, because there's no prep into like delivering the bad news.
Right.
It's just, hey, brother died, yo. Sad face.
Return home.
Frowning. What's the modern day equivalent of that? Is that it's a text message, brother dead, sad face, crying emoji.
Raiden here, cloud emoji.
Raiden here, cloud emoji. Who this?
Liu Kang is like, who is this? Yeah, he has a new phone.
New phone, who this?
So that's the introduction to Liu Kang. To this movie's credit, we understand his motivating factor immediately. Cut to Hong Kong. This is where we get to see Sonya Blade and Jax's bad acting.
60 seconds, locked on target. I don't even know their like military lingo. Like, it's delivered so like clumsily and abruptly. Like growing up, just one line that stuck out to me as a kid was, "It better be I want Kano." Like that was one line, but those are two separate lines. There is a sentence in between that.
Let's go! 60 seconds to target. Jax, is the perimeter secured?
Lockdown tight.
It better be I want Kano.
Trust me, Sonya.
I trust one person on this planet, Jax. You're talking to her.
It better be I want Kano.
There you go, fixed.
Fixed. It better be I want Kano.
It better be that I want Kano.
Yeah.
So, Sonya and Jax, we get to see their setup. Now, Sonya is played by Bridget Wilson off of Billy Madison fame. She had a big year, 1995.
This could be our movie. No movie will ever be our movie.
Oh, that's not nice. What about you, Sideburns? You want some of this?
You want some of this movie?
I'd rather have a beer. But, you know, Bridget Wilson, very good-looking woman. You know, kind of looks the part of Sonya Blade as much as, you know, is needed, I think, for this movie. The thing is, though, she was not the original person to play Sonya Blade. It was going to be Cameron Diaz. And the reason it was going to be Cameron Diaz is because executives at New Line were very happy with her with The Mask. That was her first movie. And I think it might have been old Larry, saw dailies of The Mask and her in it. And they're like, she has to be in this movie. So someone pulled her in, someone with power. I don't remember exactly who. They got her involved. She was cast. She was officially Sonya Blade. The problem is she broke her wrist pretty bad during the training. Because, you know, this is an action movie with a lot of hand-to-hand. So they put a lot of care into, like, training for the movie, which I think is a great thing. But she couldn't continue because of the injury. It was a serious injury. A lot of people were injured during the making of this, but that one was pretty serious. Like, it took her out of commission. So that's when they brought in Bridget Wilson, who is serviceable, but kind of has like the 90s role of being like the chick in the group, which, you know, basically meaning she's underwritten.
Yeah. A lot of her delivery, especially the action scenes, are flat, wooden. You don't buy any of that. Like, at one point they throw some random goon into her and her arm's already just outstretched for a clothesline, you know? Like,
We'll talk about the clothesline. I got some things to say.
You got some things to say about the clothesline. So, sticking with the Cameron Diaz point, that's what compelled her to do Charlie's Angels, because she felt that she missed out on an action role with this movie.
Okay. She probably made a good decision. I mean, Charlie's Angels was huge. That movie made a fuck ton of money. And then they got a sequel, which kind of fell flat, if I remember correctly. But Charlie's Angels was a phenomenon at the time it came out. Definitely.
So, considering she returned for the sequel of Charlie's Angels, if she had also returned for the sequel of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, do you think that would have compelled more actors? We have not just Robin Shue, not just Talisa Soto. We got Cameron Diaz. Do you think that brings Lyndon Ashby back?
No, the script is too awful. Any self-respecting actor is not coming back for Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Talking to you, Robin Shue and Talisa Soto.
No self-respect.
No self-respecting actor would have taken that role.
But I'll tell you this. If more actors did return from Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I would have been very happy as a kid. I watched it either way. Kids like me were just watching it no matter what. But that movie is just not written well.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm glad it gave the opportunity for some of the American Gladiators to get a role.
Motaro, a.k.a. fake Pierce Brosnan, a.k.a. Malibu.
He does look like Pierce Brosnan. Holy shit. Yeah, without your weapons, you are no match for Motaro.
She's here. Right on time. I love punctuality in a woman. Don't you, Mr. Shang Tsung? Now you sure she's gonna follow me?
You killed her partner, didn't you? She'll follow you into hell. Just make sure she's on that book. Sonya Blade must be at the tournament.
Maybe me and Sonya should share a cabin. Have our own little honeymoon cruise.
If you so much as touch her, Kano, you're going to need to see me eye talk.
So here in Hong Kong, we have Sonya, who is also on a quest for revenge. She's trying to chase down this notorious killer named Kano, and we get to get a really cool intro of him where we see his metal face. They do a cool reveal where he turns and you see it, and it's pretty fucking sweet. The effect of Kano's face looks awesome. Metal plate, red eye, kind of Terminator-ish, but still awesome.
Why haven't they done that since? Because you might not be aware of it. They did a short-run web series. Kano shown with the eye for about, 5 seconds. It's a decent effect. It's more or less like, it looks like it was more RoboCop, like it was, like they ripped his flesh apart to put this implant in, but it's shown for about 5 seconds. The newest movie that came out, 2021, Mortal Kombat, didn't even bother.
No.
He's just got a laser eye.
He got it scarred up from Reptile, but that's about it, yeah.
It's so fucking weak, man.
So Sonya's chasing after Kano, and, they're going through like a Blade-style nightclub where Kano's like hiding in the back. Shang Tsung is there kind of encouraging this, because Shang Tsung wants Sonya to participate in Mortal Kombat. I think he just has the hots for her, because there's like a few times where like he kind of flirts with her. I think he just like thinks she's like the hottest bitch in the planet, and is like, I want her on my fucking island because of the implication. There's nowhere she can go. I'm taking her to Outworld.
Well, dude, think about it. She's out in the middle of nowhere with some dude she barely knows. She looks around her. What does she see? Nothing but open ocean. There's nowhere for me to run. What am I gonna do? Say no?
Okay, that seems really dark.
No, it's not dark. You're misunderstanding me, bro.
I think I am.
Yeah, you are. Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no.
No.
But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
Shang Tsung, yeah, he might,
Because of the
he
implication.
might be wanted for crimes other than murder.
Yeah, that's a good point. He just wants to bang Sonya. Why else bring her?
Yeah, I mean, he wants her there. Shang Tsung orchestrates our big three heroes, like, joining Mortal Kombat. Sonya's one of them. But when Sonya's going through this, like, nightclub, like, trying to get to where Kano is, she's just, like, beating the shit out of the crowd. And it's just some nightclub for, like, 20-year-olds or, like, whatever, 25-year-olds. So imagine, like, you're, like, in your 20s, you're like, it's Saturday night, let's go to this nightclub and dance. Have some drinks, whatever. You go there and there's, like, this fucking FBI bitch just, like, butting you with a fucking rifle. Like, she's just, like, pistol whipping motherfuckers in the crowd for no reason.
Bashing you in the back of the head with a shotgun because you had the audacity to be moshing in front of her.
Yeah, like, what the fuck, man?
I didn't know there was a criminal here. I just wanted to get lit on a Saturday night and mosh, yo.
I just came here with my friends. Jesus fucking Christ.
That's what you
Fuck
get.
you, I'm Sonya Blade, bitch.
Fuck you. And I didn't know this at the time, but you mentioned Jax is played by some guy from Babylon 5?
Yeah, he's in like 2 episodes of Babylon 5.
So now I have to watch the entirety of Babylon 5 just to find him.
Yeah, this is a different Jax than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's just random Jax with very few lines and not really of significance in this movie whatsoever.
Jax in the sequel, who was played by another American gladiator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael J. White has gone on an interview and said he was offered the role of Jax in this movie and the sequel. And he almost leaned into the sequel more than this one, but then he chose Spawn.
Yeah.
I think we can all argue that it was the best choice.
Yeah. I mean, he probably got a fucking huge paycheck for Spawn, so whatever. He's fine. He's doing fine, that guy. So Sonya Blade's chasing after Kano. And then we get to see Johnny Cage's intro. And he's in Los Angeles, and his intro is pretty fucking cool. First of all, I love the music that's playing in the Johnny Cage intro scene. And it's very, like, cinematic for reasons that the movie explains, right? When he walks through this, like, big doorway into this warehouse where there's, like, a car parked and a bunch of goons in suits. And he just looks at him and says, "Let's dance," in that classic, like, cool Johnny Cage style. And then he fights them, you know, everyone knows the scene. He fights the goons. And one of them, he, like, beats the shit out of, but the guy's still standing, and he says, "This is where you fall down." The guy jumps down to the ground, and it's a whole Hollywood production. Now, I gotta say, Josh, I feel like this movie injected a lot of personality into Johnny Cage, which I think carries over to the games today. Because he has that, like, smart-ass, like, holier-than-thou, but kind of funny and cool vibe.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, you can tell they use this for a lot of inspiration when pulling... Because until Mortal Kombat 9, there was never really a written character for Johnny Cage. It was more or less... You only heard about him through cutscenes, or you heard him in the one Mortal Kombat 4 ending where he got booed off stage.
Yeah.
So he was kind of a joke and an asshole. So when they actually started to tell a more cinematic story with the games, they pulled a lot from Lyndon Ashby's interpretation of him. He's like a Han Solo. You know what I mean? Charming, but at the end of the day, he has a heart of gold, and he'll do the right thing.
Yeah. And, you know, Johnny Cage gets made fun of a little bit for this movie because some of his jokes don't land. But overall, I think he's a good presence, and very much like a needed presence among the heroes, because Liu Kang is very serious, and Sonya Blade, like, the way her character is written and the way she's directed and the way she plays it is, like, just, you know, this typical, like, stone cold, I will never smile, you know, I am always mad, just very angsty, and that usually falls flat for me because that's, like, the most basic way you can play, like, any character. Just, like, the stone cold, stoic.
The stone cold bitch.
Yeah, you're a stone cold bitch, Sonya, but goddammit, you got a great rack.
We'll get into it a bit later, but yeah. She doesn't like to ask for help. She wants to prove, it is very obvious, she wants to prove that she can do everything by herself. No help is required.
And she can't.
She can't.
So Johnny Cage is, like we said, it's a Hollywood production, and there's a director there who's up on a crane who looks exactly like Steven Spielberg, which is like, Johnny Cage is like just like trashing the set because one guy missed his mark.
Where do you get these guys? And the press says, I don't know how to do this stuff?
Cut! All right, people, reset. We're back in 15 minutes.
I'm not doing it again.
No, what do you mean you're not doing it again?
I'm not doing it again.
Johnny's the last shot of the picture. Where are you going?
I'm going to my trailer.
No, you can't leave
I'm
me
going to get
hanging.
a gun, and I'm going to shoot myself
don't
for
shoot.
being in
Johnny,
your
kill
movie.
me. You'll kill me. I'll be back directing traffic. Johnny, don't leave me hanging up here. You're killing me, Johnny. I love you. I need you. Don't...
Come on, the guy made one fucking mistake, this stunt guy. And Johnny Cage's like, what the fuck is this production? Like, what is this, an Uwe Boll movie? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, he's talking to Steven Spielberg, and if that is the implication, he is absolutely trashing the director of Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yeah.
you know, Jaws.
he just looks like Spielberg. I don't think it's like meant to be like a Spielberg movie, but you know, the guy has the exact Spielberg look.
Oh, it's too obvious. I feel like it's meant to be a joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's meant to be obvious. That's who they're talking about.
But Johnny Cage, it goes to another place on the set, and there's some guy, some asshole sitting in his chair. And it's Master Boyd, who is, I don't know, some random older white guy. I think they wanted to get a cameo of someone famous for this scene, but felt that it would be too distracting. I read that somewhere once.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense if you have a Chuck Norris in that chair or something like that. Master Boyd.
Master Norris.
Master Norris.
Yeah.
Which I will say, I think it's pretty fun that they have made Master Boyd canon.
No way.
Yeah, they have. The game before the most recent one, Mortal Kombat 11, Kerry Tagawa is like Jean-Claude Van Damme in this current game, you can play as Cary Tagawa as Shang Tsung in the previous game.
Sick.
And he has an intro dialogue with Johnny Cage, and he talks about taking Master Boyd's soul.
I took Master Boyd's soul and
Yes.
shit. That's pretty epic, dude.
Yeah.
But Master Boyd is this guy that clearly has a close relationship with Johnny, because Johnny drops his guard when he sees this guy. He's no longer the arrogant asshole. He becomes a little bit humble. He's like, "Oh, Master Boyd, hey, yeah, what can I do for you?" And the guy's like, you are being called a fake by the media, and you have a chance to prove yourself. And Johnny Cage is in the middle of filming a movie, right? But he drops that shit. He takes this ancient scroll, and he decides to actively participate in Mortal Kombat. Because according to Master Boyd, if Johnny Cage wins Mortal Kombat, I guess the event runners of Mortal Kombat are going to do a press release to tell the world that Johnny Cage is not a fake and he won Mortal Kombat. That part doesn't really make sense, because Master Boyd's like, they'll tell everyone. If you win, they're going to just spread the word. It's like no one even knows Mortal Kombat exists. They're going to be like, who the fuck are you guys? What the fuck is Mortal Kombat? Why is it spelled wrong?
That's a fair point I've never even thought about. Like, oh my god, yeah. Trust me, guys. It's the equivalent of a trust me, bro, right? Trust me, bro. He's legit. In quotes, and it's attributed to Mortal Kombat, a tournament you've never heard of.
Right.
Hey, mister, you're in my chair.
Hi, Johnny.
Master Boyd.
I see the press is still giving you a hard time.
Yeah, they think I'm a fake.
Johnny, you're one of the best martial artists in the world, and I can help you prove it.
Prove it? How?
A tournament. The tournament. It's held once a generation. The best fighters in the world are invited. You win the tournament, you win their respect. They'll tell the entire world that you're the real goods.
But Master Boyd is not what he seems to be. He walks away, and he has a transformation. He shapeshifts. It's actually Shang Tsung in disguise, which is an amazing special effect. It's the same technology they used for like the transformations in T2. Like what that effect that was developed then was used in other movies, and this is one of them. It's a really cool effect. It's really seamless. They added a little bit of flair on top of it, like kind of like little flame streaks, which, this movie does this thing that 2021 Mortal Kombat never does. And that's Shang Tsung's main power is he transforms into other people. That's what he is in the game. That's why he's the boss in the game. Because it's like you play for the first Mortal Kombat, you beat Goro, who's just like this hulking beast. And then the real boss is a guy that can turn into all the people you've faced before. Cool fucking power.
On the fly.
Right.
Just, yeah, the ultimate contest. You've beaten everybody that comes before you. Well, how about somebody that can morph into, like, anybody on the fly, utilizing all of the advantages of each and every roster member?
Absolutely. So that's a cool aspect of the game, and that's his main power in the game. In the movie, they actually do it. So credit to this movie for utilizing that and utilizing it really early on. They don't go full video game with it. He doesn't turn into Scorpion. He doesn't turn into Sub-Zero. But that's okay. I think at least they have it because it's his main ability. 2021, shame on you, man.
It's more or less done in this movie for dramatic effect, more manipulation.
Yes.
More or less, and less, yeah. I'm taking the Scorpion's spirit, I'm pulling you in just to change into Sub-Zero for the freeze move, and then I'm going to turn into Rain and roundhouse kick you across the screen.
Or he could have turned into Katana and been like, Lou, come into my tent. And like Lou's getting it on with her, and then it transforms into Shang. And Shang's like, your hole is mine. And then he like fucking pegs Liu Kang.
Pegality.
That's the X-rated version.
That's a different movie.
Yeah, that was deleted.
That's Mortal Kombat.
I'm going to tell a really embarrassing story. When I was a kid, I used to draw my own comics, and I used to make up my own things. And after I heard Weird Al, I heard Gangster's Paradise, I was like, oh, I should make my own parody thing. So I wrote my own parody songs, but I also made a parody comic of Mortal Kombat, and this is going to sound dumb, It was called Moco Combat, which is like Spanish for boogers. So Moco Combat. Shang Tsung was Shang Fungus. So he had like fungi on him. And that's the only one I remember. I don't remember what the other parody characters were.
That's all you need.
It's Shang Fungus. So dumb, dude. I thought that was so funny. Moco Combat.
I don't know if you're aware of it. They've played around with some mini games over the years, so you've gotten some. We've been introduced to some clever play on words. Like there's a kart combat type of mini game in one of the
like Mario Kart.
It's called Motor Combat.
I love that.
Yeah, so just kart combat and motor combat in and of itself is cute and clever.
Very cool. So moving along in the story, we now have 3 people that are seemingly going to participate in the tournament. Sonya Blade, so she can chase after Kano. Johnny Cage, so he can prove that he's not a fake. And then Liu Kang visits the Temple of Light. Presumably where he grew up and where he was trained. Really beautiful setting in Thailand. They used a real location that I don't think I've ever seen in another movie. At least not that I remember. Maybe it's in some B movies or something. But it was in a very remote site that was not easily accessible. I mean, this place is just cool. Like, it's got the perfect look. And I love, like, Liu Kang walking up to this, like, temple. And when he does, they're kind of, like, having a discussion there. Like, the other Buddhists, monks, whatever they are, they're saying, like, you know, Liu Kang needs to participate in the temple. And someone's like, no, he can't because he just wants revenge. But this is where we intro Raiden.
Well, yeah, right before this, they're like, and over there, that's where we found his bitch-ass body, you know? Dare I say this set is as iconic as something as like the Michael Myers house. If you go to Thailand and you came across this, I think your brain would probably instantly know this is from Mortal Kombat.
It would for me.
It would for me. Obviously, I think Halloween has a bit more broad appeal than Mortal Kombat, and not many people are going to Thailand as opposed to Southern California. So, there's that. But maybe not the best analogy, but I think it's pretty iconic. It's like, when I look at that, I immediately think of, that's the Temple of Light.
It's great. It's a great setting. And this is where we forget to first see Raiden. What do you think about Christopher Lambert as Raiden, the biggest actor in the movie?
The biggest actor in the movie, he does absolutely nothing in the movie. No sort of action in the movie. He does like one little like wrist twisty flip thing. But his voice is so fucking cool.
Oh yes, I forgot. We're fighting for the fate of the world!
That's why you left the temple and ran away, isn't it? The great tournament was too much responsibility. But vengeance... that's so much simpler.
Lord Raiden...
You're still running away from your destiny.
Raiden is amazing. I love this version of Raiden. First of all, we get to see him with the hat at this one scene, and I'm glad we get to see that at least once. They don't have it at all in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But we get to see the hat, you know, he looks up, and it's Christopher Lambert, and he's got such, like, a cool voice, and this dude is, like, in it. This dude is into this movie. You can tell. Like, he's feeling it. And, you know, Liu Kang tells him, you're not fucking Raiden, you're just like some bum off the street begging for change, bitch. And he's like, alright, fight me then.
Well, at first his grandpa's like, spare him, my lord Raiden, as if Raiden was about to just murder him.
Yeah, but...
How dare you say I'm not who I claim to be? Now I'm going to remove your spine.
Yeah. But, you know, we see that Raiden's powerful because Liu Kang, like, rushes him. And this is the one kind of action moment you get with Raiden where he flips Liu Kang. But we see the electricity eyes. Which every time you see Raiden's like electricity eyes is an amazing effect.
Yes.
Also the tip of the finger is cool too. But the electricity eyes I love.
I think the lightning effects in Big Trouble in Little China are done better visually. Like, it's unfortunate they couldn't get like lightning emulating from his like arms and stuff like that. I think that would have been really fucking cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But and when he goes to teleport, it just turns into like a whitish, reddish, like fade digital effect that I think looks like shit.
Ah, okay. I like Raiden though, and you know, Christopher Lambert was like very much into this movie. He believed in this movie, and Paul W.S. Anderson was a really young actor at the time and was very inexperienced. Oh, sorry, young director. He wasn't a young actor yet. He was still a young director. But he was a young director, and Christopher Lambert helped him out. I mean, he kind of like gave him advice on how to make this movie better, and I think it came together partially because of Christopher Lambert.
Yeah. Oh, should we go ahead and just bring up the score of this movie? Because when Liu Kang arrives at the Temple of Light, the little drum beats and stuff like that, you're like, all right, this is kind of fucking cool.
It is cool. And there's the score, and then there's like the EDM soundtrack, you know? And both of these are iconic to this movie. More so the EDM soundtrack, I think. Like, this soundtrack is fucking incredible. It went platinum, and it was actually the first time an EDM record ever went platinum.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so like the music from this movie is fucking legendary. And I'll tell you this, when I was a kid, I was in Taekwondo. And I was on the demo team, which is where we went to like schools and we did demonstrations of like breaking and forms and stuff. And all of our music was from the Mortal Kombat soundtrack that we did forms to, and MK Annihilation. And then eventually I remember they were looking for more music to do. They're like, you know, we don't want it to kind of all be the same. And I suggested that we use WWF music. So we used WWF The Music Volume 3, and we used like the DX theme for one of our forms.
Degeneration X. Yeah. Classic shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the music in this is really cool. You know, Raiden kind of becomes the mentor in this movie, right, for our heroes.
The Mr. Miyagi.
The Mr. Miyagi of sorts. You know, he has his sage wisdom, and he's got the perfect voice for it. So all of our characters are heading to the dock where they're going to board this ship that's going to take them to Shang Tsung's island so they can actively participate in a combat tournament. Now, at the dock, Johnny Cage sees a guy. He sees a guy who we later learn is Art Lean. And he's reading what looks like a National Enquirer that says Johnny Cage is a fake. But if you look at what Art Lean is supposedly reading, it's all Chinese characters.
Yes.
Art Lean cannot read that. I'm sorry, but Art Lean does not read traditional Chinese.
There's no way. He's looking at the pictures, right?
It's like he's reading this newspaper on the dock, and Johnny Cage is like, what is this? What are you reading? Like, yanks it out of his hands. And Art Lean and Johnny Cage, like, they know each other just from, like, I guess, being famous, right? So Art Lean is kind of like the fourth member, sort of.
Yeah. I guess, like, we need one character to die, right? Like, the moment he shows up, I'm not sure why he's not depicted in a red shirt. A classic Star Trek red shirt.
He's literally wearing a Star Trek red shirt.
Yeah. Like, we need to raise some stakes. We gotta kill somebody. We don't want it to be somebody from the games because everybody has a favorite and we don't want fans freaking out. Nobody's gonna freak out if we just make up a character just to kill.
Yeah, the poor bastard, you know?
The poor bastard was written just to die.
And Johnny Cage saw him fight in London. He was great.
He was great, you know? And thankfully, Art caught Johnny's, films. You can't fake those moves.
No, there's literally no way to fake moves in a movie, right?
Absolutely not. So when you see Vin Diesel doing the things that he does, that's real.
Right. You can't fake those moves.
You can't fake those moves.
Tell that to the press.
Hey, pal. When the ship comes in, could you put these on board?
You want me to carry your luggage?
Yeah. I pay money, you carry the bags. Or is that too complicated?
No. I got it. Good.
Thank God I didn't ask him to park the car.
Liu Kang meets Johnny Cage for the first time at the dock, and I want to talk about this scene because Johnny Cage is the only guy that brought luggage. Literally the only person that brought luggage was Johnny Cage, and it's a fucking joke. The movie makes fun of him for bringing luggage twice. Liu Kang didn't bring a fucking shirt. One change of underwear.
You know what? That's a very valid point, dude. Everybody's rocking the same shit for 5 straight days.
I'm going to this island with the clothes on my back and fucking $5 in my wallet, and we're gonna figure this out.
Like, nobody wants to take a shower, change your clothes, none of that?
I can't drive for an hour without bringing my backpack and a couple bottles of water and a protein bar. So I don't know what's going on here, man.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Everybody just shows up with whatever's in their pocket and whatever on their back, and that's it. And yet somehow we at another scene, Art Lee's in this full-blown karate outfit and all white. Did you have that up his ass? Where did that come from?
We got that from Bison's team, right?
Now you look like Bison troopers.
Yeah. So Johnny Cage sees Liu Kang, random Asian guy walking across the dock, and says, "Hey, bring my bags into the ship, will ya?" And Liu Kang's like, "You want me to carry your luggage?" Johnny's like, "Yeah." And he pulls out a $1 bill. He's like, "I give you cash, you carry the bags. Is that too complicated?" And Luke, this is what I don't like. Not a good mark for Liu Kang here, because he takes the money and then he throws his luggage into the water. He takes one of his bags and tosses it over the dock. If he did one or the other, it would be okay. If he took the money and then just walked away, I would be like, "Ha, Liu Kang got him." If he didn't take the money and he tossed Johnny Cage's luggage into the sea, I would be like, "Ha, he got him." But the fact that he did both kind of fucking rubs me the wrong way, dude. I don't like that Liu Kang took the money and also destroyed his luggage.
Well, thank God he didn't ask him to park the car, right? Yeah, that's a very good point. It's just establishes Liu Kang as a fucking troll. What a dick.
And honestly, Johnny Cage, it makes him kind of like a nice guy. Because Johnny Cage doesn't come up and beat his ass. Like, Johnny Cage doesn't know that Liu Kang is a good fighter. Johnny Cage might just be like, "You know what? I'm gonna fuck you up for that." Like,
well, it does make him come across as a pretentious asshole because he thinks $1's enough.
But then he got done dirty, and then I'm on his side again.
Yeah, it's all about playing the victim.
Shang Tsung's ship shows up, and it is like this ancient Chinese pirate ship. It looks fucking cool. It's got a dragon head. It's got the Mortal Kombat head.
Confuses Jax, though. What the hell is that?
It's a flying battleship. Yeah, Jax doesn't know what's going on, but he's just dumb. Like, he's just like...
But he knows about cybernetic strength enhancers.
Later.
Sonya gets on this boat, and he's like, "Well, time to go get metal arms."
Yeah. See ya in a few weeks.
Oh, God.
So what's funny is, like, the main characters board the ship. Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Art Lean. And then the ship starts, like, sailing away. And you see Sonya running down the dock as the ship is sailing away. Cut to her being on the ship, dry.
Dry as fuck. How did she get on this
So did
thing?
they start going back to pick her up?
Put it in reverse. We forgot one more person.
Yeah.
Our plan was so dependent on Sonya being at this tournament. You would think we would want to make sure she was there before departing.
Credit to Sonya, though. She's the only one that brings a gun. That's what I would do, too. I would low-key have a gun. Because the fighting in Mortal Kombat is, like, really anything goes. People you cheat all the time, and they, like, just show up with a weapon. She's like, "Fuck this. I'm bringing the fucking burner, dude." Like...
That's a very valid point because nobody ever calls Stryker out for using a firearm.
Yeah.
You just gotta have the foresight knowledge. Oh, this is a death tournament? I'm bringing bullets and a firearm.
I will shoot you.
My bullets are faster than your fists.
Yes. So she brings a gun. She runs below deck, and Liu Kang and Johnny Cage kind of chase after her, and she confronts Shang Tsung.
It's an honor to finally meet you, Sonya. Shang Tsung, at your service.
I'm looking for a murderer. He boarded this ship.
I'm impressed. But it is my boat, and if you'd like a tour, I'd love to give it to you myself.
Hey, be nice to the lady.
let's back up because she bumps into Johnny Cage and she's like, I'm looking for this guy named Kano, and his immediate reaction is a typical, I don't know who that is, but I'll show you around the boat, help you find this guy. So when they go down below deck and she runs into Shang Tsung and tells him, I want Kano, he's like, well, I don't know who that is, but I'd gladly love to show you around the boat.
Yeah, everyone has like the same pickup line with Sonya. It's like, I'll be happy to show you around if you know what I mean.
It's this, men are very uncreative with their pickup lines.
I'd love to give it to you myself.
Yeah, everyone is trying to get in Sonya's pants. She's the hot blonde bombshell of this movie. Everyone wants to fuck her except Liu Kang, who only wants to fuck 10,000-year-old Puerto Rican women.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Thank God they told us she was 10,000 years old, though. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known.
They do bring that up. But when we're down there below deck, we got our big three players. Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade. They're the heroes of this movie. Shang Tsung brings out his henchmen, which is one of the coolest scenes of the movie. Not only because it intros Scorpion and Sub-Zero, but because it does it well. Like, they come out as an intimidating factor.
The music cues in, it's well done.
There's really good cinematography, the low-angled camera of them walking in, these two imposing figures. And fuck me, they did a good job of making them look like video game versions. They did a really good job with that. And they even explain away some of the video game lore, which is fucking nice. Shang Tsung says,
Scorpion and Sub-Zero, deadliest of enemies, but slaves under my power.
Which is cool, because Scorpion and Sub-Zero are enemies. If you know anything about the games, at least in the first game, things change probably. Maybe they become brothers or best friends, who knows, whatever. But at this time, they're like enemies. But Shang Tsung's like, no, I have them under mind control. They work for me. And they're fucking badass.
Wait, he calls them slaves under his well, I haven't seen any of them around.
Well, there's two right there.
There's two right there.
The freeze guy is one of them.
The guy with the thing coming out of his hand, that's another one.
Let's talk about, Josh, what do you think about seeing their powers straight up? Unfortunately, Sonya loses her gun, which was really her edge in this tournament.
That's very unfortunate. You brought the one useful thing, a firearm, and it's just immediately snapped into half. Yeah, I think you brought it up. Like, when you're a kid and you're watching Scorpion's little monster thing come out of his hand, you're just like, oh, I guess that was a creature all along. I didn't know. Right. I thought it was just a rope. Fuck me.
Yeah.
But I guess obviously the directors and the filmmakers know something that I don't.
Right. But as we learn later on in life, Josh, this was a wholly created invention just for the movie, right? Where Scorpion's hand doubles as a vagina.
It's got phallic objects coming out of his hand, vagina.
Scorpion's hand opens up, and a little dragon with a very long body pops out. And that's how he does the get over here. For whatever reason, they decided that's going to be the way they do it. That's fine. I'm okay with it in this movie, actually. Doesn't bother me that much, aside from the special effect looking a little janky at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, all right, so what's the idea here? The thing, like, bites into your shirt and then pulls you in? Like, it just...
Well, yeah, I guess this is the problem with this movie, is it's never successfully done.
Yeah, I know, right?
Unlike Sub-Zero, who they treat with slightly more respect, because he actively freezes a guy to showcase this is what he can do. They probably should have had a moment where Scorpion fights an Artleen type, maybe even Artleen himself. The dragon comes out, grabs the dude's throat, pulls him in, and Scorpion lights him on fire or something. So you can kind of see what the guy's about, right? Scorpion, we know he has this ability in his hand, but never successfully connects with it, unfortunately.
Maybe that's because, and we'll get into it when we get into it, because they originally didn't intend for him to have a full-blown fight scene.
Maybe so, yeah.
His whole scene was going to be more or less around him trying to connect that, and it just didn't. Oh, I guess we'll just add in another fight scene on top of that, I guess.
Yeah.
But
what's cool about this moment in the movie is, like, our three heroes are completely unprepared to fight fighters of this caliber that have basically magic, right? These are 3 regular people that can't do magic.
They haven't unlocked their arcana.
Yeah, they have not yet unlocked their dragon tattoo arcana. Exactly. Hasn't happened yet. So the 3 of them are like very surprised, but Raiden shows up to save the day because you can't fight yet, right? Mortal Kombat has not started yet. So Raiden says like, fuck that, get your sideshow freaks the fuck away from my fighters. And Raiden like electrifies them and kind of just like stuns them, right?
Yeah. The sound effects in this scene, for some reason, like, they've always stuck to me growing up. Like, I've never heard anything sounding like this in another movie. The sound when Sub-Zero's getting lifted and bodied across the room, it's like, ching, chow. You know what I mean? Like, it's the worst interpretation of what that sounds like in real life. But you get what I'm saying. Like, pretty good sound effects going on in this movie.
There is some good stuff here. Unlike Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which has this very weird and recurring squeaky lightning noise, which I talked about in our MK Annihilation episode. But Raiden takes our heroes above deck and kind of explains what's happening, right? He basically gives them the plot of the game, right? You have to participate in Mortal Kombat, otherwise this other realm takes over, right? This is the last chance. They've won 9 straight. If they win 1 more, it's fucking over.
A handful of people on a leaky boat are gonna save the world.
Exactly. The essence of Mortal Kombat is not about death, but life. Mortal men and women defending your own world.
Why are you telling us all this? What about the others?
They're all great fighters. But I have looked into their souls. And yours. One of you 3 will decide the outcome of the tournament. The fate of billions will depend upon you. Sorry.
He tells him, as we all know, Mortal Kombat is not about death, but life.
Sure it is.
Well, I mean, when you beat your opponent, you bring them back to life. You know, you don't want to, like, end their life in any way. That's certainly not what happens in the games.
Yeah. The preservation of life.
The preservation of life. At the end, you give them a lifelity, where you give them more life than they deserve.
Raiden has a pretty famous moment where he kind of, like, explains Mortal Kombat, and then he chuckles. And that was actually ad-libbed by Christopher Lambert. So he just kind of made that up. And again, I think he injected a great amount of, like, personality and so just some memorable aspects to Raiden. This Raiden is iconic in that way. Did they ever use Lambert in the games as Raiden? Or that version of him?
This same game I was talking about where they brought Kerry Tagawa back. They brought eventually back as DLC. Me and you have talked about this off camera. Like, if for $4.99, would you pay for 3 extra skins of Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage, Christopher Lambert as Raiden, and Bridget Wilson as Sonya Blade?
Did you?
I did. Yeah. They hit me right in the nostalgia, you know? I was suckered in.
Suckers!
Suckers! So, yeah. Unfortunately, Christopher Lambert's voice isn't quite the same as it was back in the day. It doesn't sound quite as cool and as crisp. So there's a little bit of aging in his voice, but it's still fucking Raiden from the 95 movie.
Does he do the laugh?
Sorry. No.
No?
No.
Damn it.
Sorry.
Look. It has begun.
It has begun!
So, Josh, they're back on the upper deck of the ship, and it begins.
What begins? Just it?
It begins.
It has begun?
It has begun, Josh.
What has begun? It.
So when I was a kid, I thought this meant the Mortal Kombat tournament has started. But it doesn't.
It doesn't. It clearly doesn't. So what has begun?
It's starting like in 2 days.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because the next day it's daytime they arrive, and then the next day it starts. So like,
yeah. So yeah, I guess the idea of Mortal Kombat has begun.
Yeah, the idea of Mortal Kombat has begun. Shang Tsung comes in his pants.
His eyes roll into the back of his head.
He is really enjoying this. I think it's like when you cross realms, all this happens, but like it's an automatic orgasm for him. Like crossing realms is like the most pleasurable experience ever.
Is he talking about him coming? Like my orgasm has begun.
It has begun.
It has begun.
It has. It has finished.
It has finished.
So our heroes arrive at Shang Tsung's island, a very cool location, right? First, they arrive on the beach. We get a gag with Johnny Cage.
Johnny's fucking dumbass brought luggage. What an
idiot.
Yeah, you should have known to only bring one shirt.
And instead of just like taking one bag at a time, he carries all of them at once and falls face first into the water because he's a classic comedy character, Johnny Cage. But they arrive at this like creepy temple, which I think is a really cool set for this movie. Like a lot of it is within the confines of this temple or on the beach. But I think the temple looks pretty good. They dressed it up nice, you know, this soundstage. We get to see some of the other characters because there's a fuck ton of characters in this movie. Katana sitting there with an umbrella, just chilling. You know, Reptile's a statue until he isn't. Then he's a really bad CGI effect. For some reason, they made him an actual reptile, which I think is part of Mortal Kombat 2 a little bit, because he's got like the reptile head underneath his mask when he does a fatality. So this is around the time when like first Reptile was a green ninja guy, right? And then later they're like, actually he's like a reptile underneath, so he's like wearing a human suit or something. In this, right, he's just like he's a little dinosaur guy, right? Jurassic Park was a big deal, right?
Yeah, I guess the implication was like at first he was like the first villain in the Men in Black movie. He was wearing a human flesh suit.
Yeah.
And then eventually, Mortal Kombat 4 comes out, and he's really a reptile man. I think in the lore, this is the thing about Mortal Kombat lore. Like every time I want to specify something, there's always somebody who's gonna be like, "Oh, you fucking idiot!" I'm sure you get that a lot in Star Trek, you know. Yep. So I think if we want to be fair to Reptile in Mortal Kombat 4, his de-evolution starts because he sided with the equivalent of Satan.
Okay.
He got hit with a de-evolution gun, basically.
And the equivalent of Satan is, of course,
Shinnok.
Yeah, Shinnok.
Yeah,
he's Shao Kahn's dad.
Shao Kahn's dad. Wait, hold on. If your father's an elder god, what does that make Khan?
No, that must make him my brother, obviously.
That must make him my brother, obviously.
Welcome. You're here to compete in Mortal Kombat. Tomorrow morning, the great combat begins. Some of you will even have the distinct honor and pleasure to face Prince Goro. our reigning champion. You are all witnesses to one of the greatest turning points in the history of your planet. Treasure these moments as if they were your last.
So there's really great sets here, like I talked about. There's a really great atmosphere. Shang Tsung is orchestrating this whole tournament. He's the guy on top. And he prepares a big feast for all the contestants. You know, but like there's a creepy vibe about him. Like he's very ominous. He's like basically saying like, enjoy it while you can, bitches. So they all sit down for their feast. It's a good time. And then 2 seconds later, he sends out all his goons to throw over all the tables and knock out all the food. I don't know why he paid all the money it cost to prepare this feast only to like upturn the whole fucking thing, to knock over every table with a plate of food on it.
Because it's time for a taste of things to come.
Time for some theatrics.
Yeah.
The time has come.
The time has come. It has begun, Corey.
They want to do a demonstration of Sub-Zero versus random guy. Fly guy.
Fly guy. Yeah, I mean, everybody's favorite. I used to main Fly guy for a little while, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, in vanilla.
In vanilla Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah.
Fly! Like, he just starts his whole shtick with, like, cracking arm bones, his backbone.
Yeah,
and then he goes into the flight.
The guy's like arthritic.
He's arthritic.
Flawless victory.
They sent the weakest guy against Sub-Zero.
They oiled him up first, though. They wanted his muscles glistening.
Yeah. Like, you gotta grease up if you're gonna fight Sub-Zero. Because that's actually his weakness. Like, they're fucking with him. But Sub-Zero just, like, freezes this guy. Which I think is great for the character. Because, you know, Sub-Zero, a man with no lines in this movie, showcases his intimidation factor by freezing a man and exploding him. Right? His head flies off and falls at Shang Tsung's feet. Shang Tsung declares flawless victory, which is correct. This was correct. A flawless victory.
This was a flawless victory. I could see his guts fly out and everything. Almost lost my lunch.
Disgusting. I think it's pretty cool that we get to see that. It doesn't do a lot in the grand scheme of things, but this is the kind of thing that was done for fans.
It was a very PG way of approaching a fatality, right?
Yeah.
Because the games are known for violence. Spoilers, if you aren't aware of what Mortal Kombat was in the 90s, was, you know, what separated it from Street Fighter in terms of fighting games, it was the violence, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this game was partially responsible for a congressional hearing which resulted in the ESRB rating system in video games. This and Night Trap. So, yeah, Mortal Kombat has a very firm place in history in video games. Very influential in the way things turned out, right? Just like movies, video games started to have ratings. And speaking of movie ratings, this movie, like you said, is PG-13, which is both a good and bad decision. Bad in that it's not a violent movie. Good in that kids were able to see this movie.
It had broad appeal. I know I watched it because it wasn't rated R.
It made a fuck ton of money, right? Every kid had their parents take them to see Mortal Kombat. This movie was made for $20 million, which is pretty good. That's a pretty small to mid budget. It made $122 million. So it made $100 million more than its budget. So this movie made a fuck ton of money. So they made the right decision. Of course, you know, people go back and say there's not enough violence in the movie, but it works for what it is.
Yeah, at the time, I hate that retroactive, like, yeah, it was never that good. Shut the fuck up. It was a banger when it was released, and you know it.
Listen to the soundtrack, man. But yeah, so our heroes are in this new location. Things are pretty scary to them. They got a guy that can freeze. They got a creepy Asian man up there saying how they're gonna die the next day. And they follow Shang Tsung because they each kind of have their own reasons. Johnny Cage wants to get laid, so he wants to be near Sonya. Sonya wants to follow Shang Tsung because he can lead to Kano. Liu Kang, Chan, right? He wants to get revenge for Chan.
Revengeance.
So if you think about it, Sonya and Liu Kang both have the same motivation. They both want revenge for a fallen comrade, which, you know, I know Raiden sets it up later, like they each have their own thing to get over, but two of them are revenge.
Yeah, Johnny's just glad to be there. He just wants to prove he's not a fake.
He wants to prove he's not a fake, exactly. And credit to Johnny, he is a pretty fucking good fighter.
Yeah.
So there's a moment when we get to see, after they follow Shang Tsung through the corridors, we get to see Kano and Goro having a little meal together. You know, they like to dine together. But Goro is a big effect of this movie. And, you know, he's like the sub-boss of the original game. Very hard thing to do because he's a four-armed giant monster. So they made this animatronic puppet practical effect, which I think is incredible. I love the Goro monster in this. Like, it's so cool that they pulled that off.
I know, right? Like, I'm not sure. I think it may have been like a 2 to 3 man puppeteering job, but it works so fucking well. Some of the poses they can get this thing to do are fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I was telling you, my older brother was absolutely in love with the idea of like the bottom arms in this kind of position with the top arms just raised up, you know? It's just, I do not fail, you know?
Exactly. You know, Goro is iconic. He's got a great theme song. He is a ultimate badass. We don't get to see him fight yet, but, you know, we know that this guy's coming, and he's kind of the kind of guy you look at and you say, how can anyone beat this fucking thing? Fortunately, Goro can be killed.
Goro can be killed.
All it takes is a shot to the nuts.
Our heroes kind of like wander through this temple a bit, and they encounter a reptile who spits acid at Liu Kang's face, which is completely harmless. So, like, Reptile is, like, able to turn invisible, which is one of his powers in one of the games, or some of the games. And Liu Kang, like, kind of, like, sees a weird reflection of light, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And it's Reptile invisible and spits in his face. But Liu Kang is fine.
Yeah.
It just distracts. It's like squirting water in his face.
Yeah, it's like lemon juice, basically.
He wipes it off and he's like, what the fuck was that? I don't know. I'm fine, though. Like,
I mean, it wasn't even as painful as, like, mace, you know?
Not even close. It wasn't painful at all.
It wasn't. I mean, it's just like a little sting, you know?
It was surprising. Yeah.
It's a little lemon juice, I think.
Not even that bad, because he's not he doesn't even say my eyes burn.
Yeah.
He just, like, wipes it off, and he's like, oh, that was weird.
It was more or less the pressure being blasted into my face. It was a lot.
Oh, what do you think about when they follow Katana and Johnny Cage is like, I'm pretty sure she went this way because I can smell her perfume.
Womp womp.
Do you know where we're going? I know exactly where we're going. Katana went this way. I can smell her perfume. I don't smell anything.
I smell something. Bullshit.
She didn't go that way. The cobwebs are still there.
Yeah, obviously.
If you have to clear the cobwebs out of the way, no one has walked down that shit for years. She didn't go that way.
Should be a telltale sign. Somebody should have pointed that out. Oh, did she
phase through the cobwebs?
Through these cobwebs that we were having to break through?
But, you know, this movie being an action movie, they need a fight scene. And this is, like, kind of pre-tournament stuff because Shang Tsung says, like, the tournament's going to start tomorrow. So they fight some henchmen.
But, like, hasn't it begun?
That was something else beginning.
Something else beginning.
Yeah. They have to fight some henchmen, which is, I think, a cool action scene because Liu Kang, Sonya, and Johnny Cage just, like, clean these guys up. And there's a few moments in here that are kind of silly, but, like, it's like punchy, just like the rest of this movie. Like it moves right along. So it goes pretty quick. It doesn't spend too much time on it. And they do really well. So you get to kind of see these guys are good.
And they're good together,
Yeah.
right? They're able to work off of each other. The way Johnny is able to throw henchman number 37 into Sonya's clothesline.
Yeah, and Sonya is so proud of herself for doing that clothesline.
She just holds the
She's
pose.
just holding it. She's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
She's like, arm extended, complete focus. Like,
so fucking proud.
She stayed there all night doing that. She was like, someone take a picture.
Somebody take a quick picture, Polaroid.
This is fucking epic. But what I really like is the way like Johnny closes the fight scene with his staff twirl.
This little staff twirl and his arm cock. Yeah!
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like he's got a decent move there, and it was really like cinematic the way he did it. It was framed well, the shot. And then after that, like he's like piece of cake, and everyone's like, shut the fuck up. But like I like how he's like winded.
Yes.
Like he's like tired. Like that actually, it's like exhausting to fight people, right?
Yeah, that's actually a low-key moment. I don't really think about it. Like, that's a good detail, yeah. He's actually winded after that fight. Not Liu Kang, who just ran up some stairs and did like a little split kick, you know?
Yeah. Well, he's the chosen one. He had the dream.
He's not winded at all.
He had the Martin Luther King dream. Sonya is not winded because she's just been standing there in that pose for 10 minutes.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Are you guys out of breath? I was just holding this pose the whole time.
I'd like to think that of an edit where like she's just holding that pose and the other guys are fighting, and
They
she's
keep
just
throwing henchmen into that arm. Where
Yeah.
She just keeps holding the pose.
that's her best move, really. The song that plays during that whole fight scene is really cool too. But when they finish up, Raiden is there to let them know, yeah, you did such a great job. But also, there's 50 guys behind you now who snuck up on you real silent.
Yeah, with all of these like metal weapons
Yeah.
and axes, spears, swords,
Clunky ass shit, and they're just like, yeah.
Like you didn't hear any of that while you were talking.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So why don't you show me what you plan to do about them? I don't think so.
Fortunately, Raiden is like, he's not able to participate, but he's able to like intimidate enemies away, right?
Well, I guess the idea is he isn't able to participate in the official tournament. Those motherfuckers aren't in the tournament. Yeah, those are just guys. I can fuck them up.
Yeah. He knows well his dominion.
Yeah, my dominion's known to me, sorcerer.
Yeah. So the heroes, they kind of make their way out thanks to Raiden. And it's the next day when the actual tournament begins. And this is the first fight. Liu Kang versus Fighting Monk.
Fucking Eddie Gordo from Tekken, the Brazilian capoeira fighter.
Basically the Eddie Gordo stand-in.
Yeah, like with a fucking tiger roar or something.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck is that?
His name's Hakeem Alston, and he was in something called WMAC Masters, where he played a guy called The Machine. Also, the original Liu Kang actor was in that. The Liu Kang actor, well, from Mortal Kombat 2. And it was basically like a live-action fighting / WWF kind of show, where like each fighter had a health bar on the screen. So it was like a show, a TV show, and you'd watch it, and it'd be like, this guy would fight this guy, and it was like these choreographed fights, but they played it up like WWF, so they promoted each other before they fought. And they each had a health bar, and when the health bar ran out, the guy would fall. So it's kind of like a live-action video game / wrestling thing, But this guy, Akeem Alston, was on that, and he is like a known martial artist. But in this movie, he's not an actual Mortal Kombat character. No, sir. He is credited as Fighting Monk. That's his name in the script.
In the script, it's Fighting Monk?
Yes, and he does not seem like a monk at all.
At all? So, a monk of what? So that calls into question again, at the end of the fight when Shang Tsung steals his soul, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, he was on your team.
Yeah.
He was part of Earthrealm.
Yeah, because he's just like a human with no power.
Right?
He's an Earthrealm guy, yeah. His one power is like he can mimic a tiger roar, but that doesn't actually do anything.
It doesn't translate into a martial arts skill.
Yeah. Liu Kang is surprised that he can do that, but still kicks his ass.
It's like, you can do that. Oh, it's a little intimidating, but oh well.
Yeah.
Let me do this jumping kick.
So yeah, they have like a decent enough fight scene. This guy's a skilled martial artist, you can tell in real life. It's a decent enough fight scene, but like, this is the first fight, so I'll give it a little bit of a pass for it not being a real character, and Liu Kang just defeating him with a kick.
It's a lot of sticks, a lot of stick battle.
It's a real
stick
Darth
on
Maul.
stick action.
Yeah. The kick that defeats him, I feel like that would be something in real life, as opposed to like a Mortal Kombat game or movie for that matter. But like, he gets him with a kick in the midsection and the guy's like done. He's like on the ground, defeated. Not dead, but definitely defeated.
A telltale sign of this is an Earthrealm native.
Yeah.
Not of Outworld. By the way, you just beat your own teammate.
Yeah. Shang Tsung's a tricky fuck, that guy.
Welcome to my tournament, bitch. These rules are rigged as fuck.
And Shang Tsung sucks out the man's soul, which is a really cool effect.
Yeah, like the stone cold, like white harshness of his skin it's pretty unsettling, right? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, like all color drains from the man because his soul is removed from his body.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you don't listen to James Brown enough. You know, the Godfather of Soul.
Your soul is mine. Fatality.
Fight number 2, Sonya versus Kano.
Alright, so I guess we should probably get into this because I've heard over the years that originally Kano was supposed to win this fight, and it essentially came down to Bridget Wilson wasn't able to pull off some of this choreography, so let's get her to stop fighting in the movie. And once she kills Kano, she's done fighting for the rest of the movie.
Because I guess she doesn't have any motivating factor to continue to fight, right?
That, yeah.
She's like, alright, I did the thing I was here to do. I did it really early on, first day.
It's like, she doesn't get eliminated from the tournament, though, you know?
The tournament doesn't make sense because you talked about this.
Single elimination.
There's no bracket.
Yeah.
There's no, like, this person versus... It's not a tournament. It's just like, Shang Tsung's just like, fight this person.
You're on the same team. I don't care.
I don't care. Fight. Okay, Tiger Roar guy.
Tiger Roar guy.
So, I guess what I read is slightly different, and that's that the original ending, she won, but does not kill Kano. So there's an act of mercy. But in a reshoot, they decided to have her kill him. So, you know, she breaks his neck. She does like the, what is it called? A scissor kick?
Yeah, like I guess scissor hold or something.
It's one of her old school moves, I guess, from like Mortal Kombat 3 or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, but the fight is interesting because Kano starts off with a knife. She doesn't have a knife. Kano gets a knife. It's a pretty cool looking knife.
Ed Boon actually still has this knife.
The prop knife?
The prop knife from Kano's fight. If I made Mortal Kombat and I could request one prop of this movie, it would probably be the fucking knife.
Yeah, the knife is cool. It gives me a big smile. Ear to ear.
Yeah. I mean, he studied all her moves, but it didn't work because he didn't anticipate a kick to the mid-gut.
He did study all our moves, but he's not good at studying. Like, he's kind of a flunky. Like, so like he studied, but you still failed the test, you know? Like,
yeah. Studying doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna pass.
Yeah.
Right?
So Kano is a little bit different than his game character. First of all, he's not an Asian man, Josh.
Yes, in the original games, if you aren't aware, Kano was originally meant to be, or originally designed to be, half American, half Japanese. And when this movie came out, they obviously interpreted him as this Australian mercenary type. And the game devs loved it so fucking much that they just retconned Kano's story. The Mortal Kombat's lore is filled with retcons, just pulling shit out of your ass. Oh, there's a Satan all along. He's more powerful than Shao Kahn, but he gets one game and then we won't talk about him for 20 years.
Quan Chi actually orchestrated the Sub-Zero versus Scorpion.
Exactly. What the Malibu
rivalry.
comics established, it was solely Sub-Zero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's classic lore for anything to get retconned into the fucking ground.
Which is fine. My problem is when I get attacked online by assholes that assume this was always the case. You know what I mean? Like, you fucking idiot. Don't you know this, and that? No. This wasn't always the case, you assholes. Like,
Right.
Shit gets retconned over the years.
Hello, baby. Did you miss me? Ooh. Now look at this. This little baby brings back memories now, doesn't it?
What, you used it to knife your mother in the back?
Nah. It put a big smile on your partner, though. Ear. To ear.
Well, Trevor Goddard is the guy that plays Kano in this. He's the white dude that we said is Australian, but he was actually trying to do a different accent than Australian. Did you know that?
No.
He was going for Cockney.
He's going for Cockney?
Yes.
And just absolutely failing.
I guess. I mean, we're American, and I know for me personally, I don't want to speak for you. I have a hard time pinpointing an accent. If you gave me New Zealand and Australian and put them next to each other, I don't know if I'd be able to accurately tell you which one is which. It's kind of the same for a lot of British accents, and Australia, they kind of get a little mixed up for me. He was going for Cockney, but it was later interpreted as Australian. Everyone who watches this kind of received it, not everyone, but it was widely understood to be Australian. So it's kind of just, I guess, a failure on his part, but it's fine, right? The legend of the Australian accent lives on to this day, so it had a mark.
Well, it kind of also makes sense because I think Australia has a nickname of like the continent of criminals or something like that. So like it made sense that the continent of criminals, quote unquote, birthed this like ultimate criminal who's the head of this fucking militarized gang or something.
The underworld boss.
The
Kano.
underworld. I'm an underworld boss of my own, back home.
Good for them. Back home.
Back home.
Shang Tsung is a great sorcerer. The wise cultivate his favor. Those who challenge his power become his slaves.
Yeah? Well, I haven't seen any of them around.
You fool! You know nothing. He enslaves souls. He learned the black arts from the Emperor himself.
You're some kind of royalty too. Right.
I am Goro, General of the armies of Outworld and Prince of the subterranean realm of Shokan.
Subterranean. What's that? Something like underground?
Yes, something like that.
Yeah? Well, I'm kind of an underworld boss myself, you know. Well, I mean, back home.
How lucky for them, back home.
It's true, Prince Goro. Why else would I have chosen such a disreputable-looking creep? Look at him. No dignity, no manners. Yet in the realm of Earth, men like him can amass great wealth and almost god-like power.
Goro fucking hates this guy.
I can't fucking stand him. Like,
do you think Goro picks on everyone? Do you think he's like mean to Sub-Zero too?
Oh, no. I think it's just Kano. He gets shoved into lockers and shit like that.
And then gets beat by Sonya. You know, the one fight she gets, she wins. She beats Kano, kills him, and then I assume that Shang Tsung takes his soul too, right?
I would assume so, right? Like, why wouldn't you? Taking everybody else's soul.
Yeah. But the fight itself is not great. It's not one of the highlights of the fighting in this movie.
It's a little wooden.
But I'll tell you what is. Johnny Cage versus Scorpion. Now, Johnny Cage is in a totally different environment than where we saw the previous
Just
fights.
happens to be walking to an orchard.
I think Johnny Cage was looking for a place to smoke.
Or a place to piss.
Yeah, and he found some fucking crazy woods.
He was looking for the bathrooms.
He was looking for the bathrooms. He wanted to see how they looked.
Yeah.
But like, I think this is like an unsanctioned fight because like the other fights, there's like people watching. There's a ring. Shang Tsung is sitting in a chair observing at like the head of the ring. Like, you know, Liu Kang versus Fighting Monk, Sonya versus Kano. But now Scorpion and Johnny Cage, they're just on their own. They're out there in the middle of nowhere. And Johnny Cage just sees Scorpion and he's like, all right, I guess I'm fighting this fucking dude.
Yeah, right? I guess this is the start of the fight.
Yeah.
I caught you out here in the woods. Fight time.
Unsanctioned fight. There's a few unsanctioned fights in this movie. This is the first one. And Scorpion immediately goes to use his dragon spear thing, right?
Immediately goes to cheat, right? Like,
well,
I'm gonna
he has
use
powers. He's gonna use them.
Yeah, right? And this whole scene is just one big chase scene through the woods between Johnny and this spear monster.
Fortunately, there's trees, so Johnny can like move his head, and this spear monster can like hit a tree, and then that's it. Like, we don't have to deal with that shit anymore, right?
Right, exactly. Like, and it's unfortunate that, or I guess it is fortunate that they decided to not just end the scene there. Because originally, that's where the scene ended. Like, Johnny Cage was just going to kick Scorpion. That little jumping kick he goes for,
the shadow kick,
was going to connect, and it was just going to kill Scorpion. And then they decided, no, we should go back and reshoot some more fight scenes. And we get one of the fucking coolest fight scenes between Scorpion and Johnny Cage.
Absolutely. And the reason this came about is because test screenings.
Mm-hmm.
So the test screenings, the fans, which were mostly kids, said there should be a few more fights. Well, they probably just said more fights. I'm going to guess like in crayon, written on the test screener notes was more fights. And then like
F-I-E or F-I-T-E-S.
Yeah. And then like someone tried to do a shitty like Mortal Kombat logo next to it, you know? Actually, one of the test screening, not one of them, but some of the test screening feedback was about Goro's balls. They said like something like, what does his balls look like? Or something like that. But back to this. They did do reshoots. They added a few fight scenes. One of them is here. And instead of the shadow kick connecting, they added a digital effect, which I think is kind of good for Scorpion's ability, because Scorpion has this like pseudo teleport that he can do. So what he does is he teleports Johnny into his area, his realm, his home base, so to speak, which kind of looks like hell. It's this fucked up and really cool set with like all the skeletons of Scorpion's victims all thrown around this place. There's like random like ladders and platforms and chairs. It's just like the most fucked up, dank place, warehouse, fucked up place that you could imagine. It's so cool.
He's brought in his red light, you know, and he definitely welcomes Johnny Cage to his lair. Welcome, you know?
Welcome. You've got mail.
You've got mail. And then he proceeds to start just beating his face in.
It is voiced by Ed Boon. I did confirm that. Okay. So Scorpion in this movie, when he says, "Get over here" and "Welcome," and
Get down here.
That classic, cool sounding voice. It's our guy Ed Boon, one of the creators of Mortal Kombat. And this fight is brutal. It's a very intense sense of physicality because of their close proximity and the claustrophobia within the scene. There's a lot of things in this scene, just like platforms, bones, broken ladders, complete ladders, poles. There's just shit all thrown across the screen, and the platform that they're standing on, Scorpion and Johnny Cage, is very narrow. So it's really close combat, really great sound effects, and just it feels like brutal physicality. It just feels like hard hitting, hard kicks, and just bone crunching combat.
Buckethead's just going fucking crazy on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good point because of the proximity. This isn't I really like the reptile fight, but there's a lot more room to maneuver. You can toss Liu Kang against a wall, and then Liu Kang can pull off a bicycle kick. It's not necessarily possible in this scenario where you're having to fight on this small platform, and you get that moment where I think Johnny catches Scorpion's foot or something, and he does this full-blown backflip kick into a kick.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool as shit.
There's some great stuff here, the music, the atmosphere, the whole thing. Probably one of the best fight scenes, if not the best fight scene in the entire movie. Really great addition to this movie. This movie would have suffered without this scene. I'm glad they had something like this. And this is about midway through the movie, so it's a really satisfying thing. Because you watch this, and you're like, okay, it's not even over yet. This is just one of the fights.
You're validated in your opinion that this movie is already a fucking banger.
Hell yeah. So, this fight scene is really cool. I think it's great in a lot of ways, including Scorpion using his additional abilities. When they get down to the ground level of this place, Scorpion tears off his mask, and he's got that classic skull head from the very first game, and he breathes fire. And Johnny Cage finds some scraps nearby, and there's junk and old rusted weapons all around. He finds a shield and protects himself, and tosses a fucking javelin like Achilles straight into this guy. And this is the closest thing you get to real violence in this game, which is Scorpion's blood, which isn't like blood. It's almost like molten lava coming out of his body. It doesn't look like blood, which is probably how they got it past the censors. And Johnny Cage, instead of cutting off his head, it's a skull head. So he actually just cuts this skull in half, which, again, you can get past the censors with that because it's not a human's face that you're cutting in half. It's just a skeleton man. You can cut up a skeleton man, right?
Yeah. There's no blood coming out. There's only lava. Yeah.
So Scorpion explodes because of this attack. And again, closest thing to violence, you see body parts flying. You see
just skeletal parts.
You see the hand pretty clearly in the explosion. And then you get to see something kind of interesting and unique to this movie, which is almost like a friendship. Because when Scorpion explodes, out of his body is a signed photo of Johnny Cage that burns away in the debris and rubble. It says "to my biggest fan," and it's a signed autograph basically, which leads me to believe that Scorpion had this on his person. Scorpion had this in his pocket.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure it didn't happen right away, but probably several hours later Johnny Cage was put the pieces together because it looked like a fairly recent photo of him. Oh, I think I fucking remember even signing that motherfucker. Yeah. It was the guy in the yellow outfit
at Dallas Comic-Con.
Yeah, Dallas Comic-Con with the yellow baseball cap. I remember that son of a bitch. He said, "Sign this."
Could you sign this to your biggest fan?
To your biggest fan. Oh, I thought he looked familiar.
Damn, I killed that guy.
I killed my biggest fan.
So when Scorpion is not a slave under Shang Tsung's power, he's just the hugest Johnny Cage fan. He watches all his movies and is He actually probably would have been on his side.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. It makes Johnny Cage look like a bad guy.
Yeah. He was under mind control, you know? Otherwise, he would have had Johnny's back for sure.
So fuck him.
Now Johnny Cage is stuck in hell.
Yeah. How did he get back home?
He walked from hell to Thailand or whatever. It's a long fucking walk, dude. It's lit like hell in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
It really is, right?
So Mortal Kombat continues, and now we have the classic fight of Liu Kang versus Katana. Fight to the death.
Fight to the death of the most violent fight in this entire movie.
It's just an excuse for them to cop feels on each other.
Yeah. Pseudo almost make out, like getting really close.
Yeah, Liu Kang grew up at the Temple of Light. This is the closest he's ever gotten to getting laid.
That would have been awesome if they did like a wide establishing shot and he's just got a full blown like Woody. Yeah. Just poking her out.
He has a boner during the fight.
Yeah. He got it hard.
I grew up at the Temple of Light. There's no women allowed.
This is where, yeah, she starts hitting him with riddles harder than her own fist.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just there giving him advice. I don't know why Shang Tsung even sanctioned this fight.
Because he specifically said, I don't want these two talking to each other.
She's gonna give him secrets to the next fight, and I can't have that.
Especially Liu Kang.
So someone's in the back scheduling these and is like very irresponsible and I'm sure got fired. Like maybe the foyer guy scheduled this before he died.
Yeah, it's the only thing that makes sense. I hope somebody got fired over that blunder. Yeah.
So like, it's really just her telling Liu Kang, like for the next fight, use the element which brings life. And Shang Tsung, after he sees them talking during the fight, just cancels the fight.
You know what? This was a bad idea.
You know what? We're not doing this fight anymore. I just changed my mind.
This whole fight's disqualified.
Every other fight is to the death, but this one, you guys can go home.
Yeah, you would think it'd be like, all right, kill Katana because she'll probably help you some more. And I want her dead.
Yeah.
Or, at the very least, schedule Johnny Cage versus Liu Kang and make them fight to the death, because apparently you can do that.
First fight, yeah.
First fight.
Is she a participant in Mortal Kombat, Katana? And what team is she on? Shang Tsung's team?
Yeah.
She just, like, can elect to lose and not die?
Yeah, you know what? Time out. I'm out. I don't want to die.
That fight doesn't. What is going on?
What if Fly guy was like, I'm out?
Yeah, fuck this.
I just walked away from the fight.
To win your next match, use the element which brings life.
What? Katana!
Remember my words.
Katana! That's enough!
You disappoint me. Not very wise.
But the real fight is an unsanctioned fight. It's not in front of people. It's not at a beach. It's in the temple. Cool setting. Really cool cinematography in this one, which is Sub-Zero, which was like, I think everyone's favorite character from the first game. Everyone fucking loves Sub-Zero.
He's the coolest character.
Very good. Now, don't get me wrong. I was a Scorpion man, but I do remember everyone being like, I'm Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
They liked the blue guy. I liked the yellow guy because he had fire. But Sub-Zero is fighting Liu Kang, and, you know, Liu Kang has a little bit of tip on this one of how to defeat Sub-Zero. But Sub-Zero does not immediately go for a freeze attack, which is a fucking mistake on his part.
Yeah, an absolute blunder on his part. He should have started with the indomitable ice move that has won him so many dubs before this.
It's basically an ice shield around him that extends to fill the whole room, and no one can fucking do anything against.
I think we were saying, like, this is how Sub-Zero's never lost a match.
Yeah.
Because nobody can land a hit.
Yeah.
Because they can't get through this fucking ice floor.
He doesn't even have to know like martial arts. He can just do this every
He's never
fucking time.
Took a class his entire life.
Are you telling me Goro could get through this?
Yeah. Right. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Never taken a karate class his entire life. Take one karate class. You're so interested. Yeah. But yeah, just ice move all
Ice
the time.
shield, ice orb around you. No one can fucking get through. But the fight leading up to that's pretty cool. Like, it's very physical. Like I said, the martial arts in this movie, the scenes don't last super long, but they're good when they're here, and I like the scene quite a lot. Except for just, like, this dumb way to defeat Sub-Zero. I'm kind of dual-minded on this fight, because I love the setting, you know, I like the look of it, but the way that he wins is just by throwing a bucket of water his way.
What?
The element that brings life.
What? Like, yeah, and Katana just shows up, like, 10 seconds prior, and either he remembers what she said, or she uses telekinesis to remind him.
Telepathy.
Telepathy, yeah, like, use the element which brings life.
So he finds the bucket, very carefully placed by Raiden.
Thank God he happened to be sitting right next to it at that moment.
Well, he throws it at Sub-Zero, it goes through the ice sphere, the water forms a perfectly formed ice shard, stabs Sub-Zero, impales him against the wall, but then Sub-Zero freezes, and I thought he couldn't freeze. I was certain you can't freeze the freeze guy. He's immune to freeze.
I might have to go back and rewatch this frame by frame, but does the bucket break through the force field before the water does?
I don't know, man.
So technically, is wood the element that brings life?
Yeah, wood. It's clearly.
Plant life? It doesn't make sense.
But Sub-Zero dies, and, you know, something about this movie that is, I think, maybe not ideal if you're considering sequels, is like just killing these guys off. Now, the sequel to this movie does bring both Scorpion and Sub-Zero back just immediately, but I think if you're thinking long term, you probably don't want to immediately kill them. But it is good that, you know, Liu Kang wins, because he's got to get to the end. He's got to climb up the bracket, which we're still confused about.
At least canonically, Sub-Zero being killed, it does make sense. He is the only one that is killed in the first tournament and is replaced by a younger brother in the sequels. Now, one thing that isn't established in the games is, you know, Scorpion having possibly another brother, Reptile having possibly 3 other siblings.
Yeah, we're talking MK Annihilation.
MK Annihilation, the 3 reptiles.
There's 3 reptiles in MK Annihilation. There's another Scorpion. There's another Sub-Zero. There's 10 Liu Kangs.
Every ninja has at least 2 brothers.
Yeah, exactly. They're big families. They're like Catholics. You know?
Yeah.
The ninja clans breed a lot. Yeah. But in the movie, the mortals have won long enough, and it's fucking time for Goro to kill all the nameless fighters on Earthrealm's side. What do you think of the Goro montage?
It's pretty good. It calls into question some of the participants that got invited to Mortal Kombat. Like, was Shang Tsung specifically like, I want that fat guy to participate?
That overweight guy?
That overweight guy, because he looks like he can't fight.
Yeah.
Like, he chose the crappiest fighters ever, and they all get bodied multiple times. I've seen a couple of people get slammed on these rocks in a few different shots. So it's implied they've gotten bodied a couple of times in this fight.
So I'm led to believe there's like 8 other people participating in Mortal Kombat outside of our main 3. And by this point, they're all dead. Because Goro just like slams them and they're done. I assume Shang Tsung sucks out their souls. And the one we get to see a little bit more of is different. It's Art Lean. Art Lean, who we met at the dock earlier, who really believes in Johnny Cage and I guess is now buddy-buddy with Johnny Cage. He has to face Goro.
He had a really great fight in London.
He had a great fight in London, but he was not prepared for this.
Doesn't even hear Goro's roars coming from behind him, you know?
It does not stop him from doing his forms. Yeah. He can do the splits thing, but he should have used that in the ring because that actually works.
Yeah, little did he know.
I think this is Art's first fight in the tournament.
Art had no fight prior to this and immediately goes against Goro.
Like they gave Liu Kang these softball fights. Like Liu Kang gets to fight fucking fighting monk and katana, but Art lean Goro.
Right off the bat, this isn't fair.
I'd be like, can I fight the fighting monk's brother or something?
Yeah, can I fight one of those like guys in the red mask?
Yeah.
Can I fight Fui Fui guy?
Yeah. Why you guy already dead? Maybe that was scheduled.
That was Art's first opponent.
And they crossed it out and they wrote in Goro in chalk. Huh?
It's so fucked. Oh god, I love the idea. That's his first fight in the entire tournament. He immediately goes to the sub boss.
And Johnny Cage is like trying to coach him from the side of the ring. He's like, that's right, Art, in and out. Like, as if I would just have walked away if I was Johnny Cage. I'd be like, alright, I can't watch this shit.
I love that, like, there's a moment when Goro's mid-combo and he's just smacking Art left, like, just bah, 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 and you just cut to Johnny Cage like, get out! Yeah. Like, oh, let me just stop being hit in the face really quick and get out of the ring.
Well, Johnny Cage uses his own advice later on.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, Art Lean gets fucking wrecked. Like, you know, credit to them, they like let him like land like a midriff shot.
One kick.
Yeah.
Sonya's like, yeah, use the kick.
Yeah, you're doing okay for a minute there, but yeah, he gets his fucking head bashed in by this insane 8-foot animatronic monster, Goro, and Shang Tsung takes his soul. He says flawless victory.
Which
is not correct. Yeah, he just says that every time.
Yeah,
even when they don't show it.
Yeah,
at the end of every fight, flawless victory.
Yeah,
because Art did get one hit in, but yeah, poor Art gets fucking wrecked.
We can't win now. How could we possibly beat something like that?
Good question. Goro can be killed. Shang Tsung's power can be destroyed by mortal men and women. You can overcome any adversary, no matter how bizarre their powers may seem. There is always a way. Only one thing can defeat you. Your own fear.
So who says we're afraid?
You must first face your fears, if you are to conquer them.
And our heroes, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, they don't know what to do about this Goro guy.
They like, can't win now. Yeah. How could they possibly beat something like that?
It's a good fucking point.
Yeah. Well, Goro could be killed. How? I think we just asked that question.
Do you still have that gun? She's like, no, they froze the gun. Fuck.
Did you bring a second gun?
That's how he can be killed.
Bullets. His only weakness.
Do you have any lava? You can put him in lava. He's like the T-1000. Like, you can put him in lava.
One of the thumbs comes up as he's going down.
2 thumbs from Goro.
Yeah.
From the same arm. From the same side.
Yeah.
So Johnny does not want Sonya to face Goro. So he says, I'll fight Goro so that I don't want like Sonya to be scheduled with Goro. Little does he know, Sonya's like, I'm not fighting anymore anyway. She's like, I did the one thing I was here to do. So Johnny Cage volunteers and he kind of makes a deal with Shang Tsung. He says, like, I volunteer to fight Goro. And Shang Tsung says, you can fight him if you want, but I get to challenge whoever I want for like the last fight of Mortal Kombat. Johnny Cage says, fine. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to fight Goro. I have a plan. What is Johnny Cage's plan to fight Goro?
What he doesn't do is think about that deal all the way through, because the implication of I get to fight anybody that I want for the final tournament, maybe it's somebody that hasn't fought yet. You know what I mean? Maybe it's kind of a loose thing. You probably should have thought that through.
Katana.
Yeah, like somebody's probably already eliminated or dead.
Someone weak as shit.
Yeah. Is one of the monks.
The stunt guy who didn't fall down.
Yeah. But yeah, his plan to defeat Goro, because that's all he's worried about. The only thing he's worried about is getting a solid dick punch in and then running away as fast as he can.
Yeah. It's a good move. You know, it's the classic Van Damme.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
It's a classic Van Damme blood sport move. You do the splits and you punch him as hard as you can in the crotch region, which, great move against Goro. What if they had Shiva? I don't know what he would have done, you know? Like,
you cunt punch. Well, it hurts so much because I'm assuming Goro has 4 balls.
Right, that's a good point. And like a Klingon, he has 2 dicks.
He's doubled up on everything. He's got 2 buttholes.
Yeah.
4 nips.
Yeah. So he does like the splits punch to the dick against Goro and then fucking runs.
Like a bitch.
He's like, peace. And then like he runs out of the ring. Goro like has a few minutes to recover and like chases after him. And what I think should have happened is Goro chases out of the ring. He turns a corner and there's Johnny Cage doing the splits again. Another dick punch.
It's a dick again.
Because if he did it twice, I think Goro would have forfeit. I think he would have been like, no more. Please.
Because that really fucking hurt him. You can tell, like, he's never been punched in the balls before. He was down for a while. He's like, oh. And I will say this. I think it's fucking awesome they got Goro's eyes to dilate in that moment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, the sinking feeling of, oh, fuck, my balls.
You
Oh,
feel the
fuck.
pain.
Yeah.
There's almost a slight sympathy for Goro in that moment.
He's using his bottom arms to cup his balls and his top arms to, like, grab his head. Like, oh, fuck, it hurts so bad, man.
Or like Johnny Cage could have like knifed him right there, you know? Like,
Yeah, it would have been a great time to pull out a gun and just shoot him right in the head.
well, he doesn't have any guns. You have to use the spear that he used on Scorpion.
He runs up these stairs, and you can tell he has no fucking clue where he's going. He's just,
This place is a maze.
Oh, fuck, I guess I'll go over in this direction. And it works out, you know?
Yeah. This is a little bit of a weaker moment, right? Because I kind of liked how Johnny Cage did have a little bit of a plan, but the part where he throws him off the cliff, I know there's some limitations with what they can do with this puppet / animatronic thing. So Goro being on the cliffside to like dangling off the cliff, that moment is like a kind of a hodgepodge of edits.
Yeah.
Like you kind of get the idea that Johnny Cage like kicked him off the cliff, but it looks really wonky.
And it's done so fucking far away.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
You know, it's an odd thing. But Johnny Cage does get him to fall off a cliff, and he reuses the line from earlier.
This is where you fall down.
Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole. This is where you fall down.
Before that, though, he has a solid line of, you know, those were $500 sunglasses, asshole. And they actually brought that line back in one of the games. I think Mortal Kombat X, if you match up Johnny Cage and Goro, Johnny Cage comes out and is like, you still owe me a pair of sunglasses, asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick. Yeah, Johnny Cage is in the ring with his sunglasses on, like, calm as fuck. And I know he's probably panicking inside, but I like that to Goro. He's just like, whatever, dude. Like,
yeah,
let's do
you're
this.
just
then.
another
Like,
little bitch.
like he's ready to go, and that's cool. I like his confidence.
I love, that confidence. I'm Johnny fucking Cage, and you're just a little bitch. I'm gonna casually take these sunglasses off. you
Right.
know? And it pays off because he wins.
But, like, immediately after that,
Immediately.
Shang Tsung kidnaps Sonya Blade, you know, the woman that never needs help from anyone and is tough as nails.
I fought one once.
Is immediately relegated to the damsel in distress.
Well, there's a certain spot on the human wrist. If you just tuck their wrist behind their back ever so gently, you just take them and do whatever you want with them, you know?
Clearly. So Shang Tsung says, I'm going to challenge Sonya Blade for the final fight. Peace the fuck out, and he takes a portal to Outworld. And, there's some discussion here about what to do, because Raiden, his reach only goes so far. And he tells Liu Kang and Johnny Cage, Sonya cannot beat this guy. In fact, I'm surprised he beat Kano. But yeah, you get it.
She shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So Liu Kang and Johnny Cage, they have to kind of follow the path to Outworld. And when they go to Outworld, it's a pretty cool experience because, in my opinion, it looks like the way Outworld looks in what I think is Mortal Kombat 2, right? Like, I get the idea that Outworld is perpetually night.
Yeah.
Like, it's always dark. There's a lot of torches around. There's, like, skulls, and there's kind of, like, people in robes, like, skulking about. I feel like it's like the homeless population in Outworld. Like, everyone's homeless, Like,
yeah, the sky is either purple or red. The way I remember Mortal Kombat 2, I think the portal level was a big red in the background.
Yeah.
And there was like, what was the other level where I think it also had a red background, but you could uppercut them into the spikes on top?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that also had a red background, but yeah, very purplish.
Yeah, Outworld is kind of like a cool look, and it's, where Shang Tsung has taken Sonya to, like, the Emperor's palace or whatever. But on the streets of Outworld, Liu Kang and Johnny Cage are trying to figure out what to do. They're pretty freaked out because they're in a whole new place. They don't got Raiden. They don't got any weapons. They're just, like, on their own.
Johnny's surrounded by people that constantly want to kick his ass. It's like being back in high school.
Exactly. And Liu Kang senses something is amiss. Someone is following them.
Well, he hears somebody whisper into the microphone. Shh.
What is that?
I don't know. There's some kind of sound effect.
Oh,
that's what alerts Liu Kang
okay.
to, like, we're being followed.
And it turns out it's Reptile. That CGI mess of Reptile. Again, this is a Power Rangers level CGI effect.
Early day Andy Serkis.
And yeah, right. And what I mean by that is the 1995 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie special effects, which to me is like some of the worst special effects in film. Actually, the same year as this movie, so same dumb style CGI.
They were killing it.
But the reptile monster doesn't last very long. Liu Kang like grabs it by the throat, and this thing is like flailing around, and Liu Kang like chucks it into this statue with an open chest. And this is where we get to see, I think, a little bit of like Outworld magic. Like these statues can like merge with a being or something.
Yeah, it's not really elaborated on or explained at all. But it doesn't matter.
Right. It's one of those cool things. It's like you're led to believe this is kind of how things work in Outworld, right? Like,
yeah.
Because we see another one of those statues with like a skeleton dead in its chest. So we're like, what is that? Like there was another merger of some being with this statue.
Like it was like a Venus flytrap almost, but somehow like Reptile's magic overdid the eating thing and turned it into a human.
Yes.
I don't know.
Something like that, right?
Something
yeah, like a
like
Venus flytrap, but like it merged. And when it merges, it becomes the ninja version of Reptile, the hidden character from the first game. And I fucking love this song, and I love it when he says,
Reptile.
So this is where this fight with Liu Kang and the human version of Reptile kicks off. And this version of Reptile is a fucking badass. Like the human Reptile with the classic green ninja suit, he is tough as shit. Like he's knocking Liu Kang's ass around.
I think that's a bit of a reference to the fact that to challenge Reptile in the original Mortal Kombat game was one of the most difficult things ever. And when you did, he was an unstoppable beast.
Yeah, he was faster than the other characters.
And he did way more fucking damage than any other character.
Yeah, he was legit a badass.
In all honesty, I think he may be more difficult to defeat than Goro or Shang Tsung in that first game.
Yeah, he's legit. Reptile is fucking cool, and he was always my favorite character. And it all stemmed from the first game. The fact that he was a hidden character is what made him special to me. So I love the fact that he's here in the movie in the ninja suit, and he's beating Liu Kang's ass for a lot of it.
He's got a different looking mask than Scorpion and Sub-Zero. His mask, it looks like it was right from the statue that he merged with. You know, it's got this gaping scream.
And this is one of those other reshoots, a fight they decided to add later because audience members complained there wasn't enough fights. The movie is also better for having this fight.
I can't imagine this movie without this fight and the Scorpion fight.
It's so much needed.
It immediately becomes like I doxed by like 3 or 4 points, right? Like, what the fuck?
And Johnny Cage doesn't help. So I like to imagine he's kind of just watching on the sidelines. This is not a sanctioned Mortal Kombat fight where Shang Tsung said, you two need to fight each other. This is just like people street fighting. So like Johnny Cage and Katana for that matter should be getting up in there and helping him out.
That actually would have been I think this scene's already awesome, but I think that would have been even more awesome if Reptile is taking on Johnny and Liu Kang at the same time.
Hell yeah. He's a tough motherfucker. Liu Kang does eventually overcome him, and he uses one of his special abilities from the games, from 2 and on, I think, is where he has the bicycle kick. So it's pretty cool to see that. Defies the laws of physics in every possible way, and I guess gives some hint that Liu Kang has superpowers, which are never discussed ever, but he's got them, I guess. It's one of those things you can let go, though. It's like, maybe it's whatever, just like one of those wire work.
He just got so angry that he decided to tell Gravity, not right now.
Yeah, not right now, motherfucker.
I'm really angry.
He beats Reptile eventually, but I think it's a really cool fight. You know, he takes some really hard hits in that fight, and I think he kind of like barely pulls it off. So I think Reptile is probably Liu Kang's toughest opponent in the whole movie.
Yeah,
with that
I
in
think
mind.
it's a fair assumption, yeah.
And Reptile turns back into his CGI little monster filled with bugs all of a sudden and just gets stomped out by Liu Kang.
Yeah.
Liu Kang tells Reptile to put his mouth on the curb.
Bite the curb, Reptile.
Time to say goodnight.
Oh, no, you don't.
Well done. You're finally learning, Liu Kang.
Katana.
Come with me.
Katana pops by and to say like, oh, pretty dope.
You did good there, yeah.
You did pretty good.
Let's all sneak into Shang Tsung's palace. You know, all his guys wear these robes and they never check your face.
I can get us in. I know how.
Shang Tsung's there with Sonya Blade, who he put in a sexy outfit, and he's trying to both fight her and fuck her. I'm not sure what order he wants to do that in.
I don't think he cares. I don't think he has a preference.
Yeah, she's now the damsel in distress who needs to be rescued. And the arc with her doesn't make sense because they say like, oh, you never know when you should ask for help, but it's also getting revenge. Then she's just the damsel in distress.
Well, it's a lesson she doesn't learn because she's still suffering from that in Annihilation.
Yes.
It's her whole arc in Annihilation, this arc here.
When she fights Ermac.
And he has another not
guy?
A not named ninja who might or might not be Noob Saibot come out of his chest. Then she has to ask for help. But Katana, like, pre-warns Liu Kang prior to walking up here that he's got 3 tests. First one's courage.
Well, yeah, she tells Liu Kang that you have to face your enemy, you have to face yourself, and you have to face your worst fear.
What happened here?
The same thing that will happen to your world. Unless you prevent it. My father was the rightful ruler of Outworld. Then his best warriors lost 10 mortal combats, and the Emperor entered the realm, killed my parents, and adopted me to lay claim to the throne. It was beautiful once, before Shang Tsung engineered its destruction.
How can I possibly stop this from happening in my world?
If I did not believe in you, Liu Kang, I would not have helped you. In the Black Tower, you will face 3 challenges. You must face your enemy. You must face yourself. and you must face your worst fear.
So when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, they're gonna do the mirror match. Because I remember in the old games, one of the things you had to do was face your same character, and that was called the mirror match. And I thought Shang Tsung was gonna turn into Liu Kang, and he would have to face himself.
That would have made too much sense, I think.
Yeah, because we'll talk about what that means, but it doesn't mean jack shit, apparently. Shang Tsung wants to challenge Sonya, but she does not accept. When Liu Kang shows up with Katana and Johnny Cage, Shang Tsung's like, alright, I'll challenge Johnny Cage.
Yeah, it's so weak. Like, why did you even invite Liu Kang?
Yeah.
You had no intentions of ever battling.
He doesn't want to
him.
fight Liu Kang. Like, he really doesn't.
You shouldn't have even killed Chan at this point. Chan would have volunteered to fight him, and he could have gotten an easy dub right in this moment.
He would have gotten everything he wanted, but no. Liu Kang says, you're gonna fight me, motherfucker. I represent the Order of Light. I'm the descendant of Kung Lao. You and me, right here, right now.
Johnny Cage, I challenge you.
No! You'll fight me. I am Liu Kang, descendant of Kung Lao. I challenge you to Mortal Kombat. Do you accept or yield?
I accept.
Leave us!
I will take care of this impudent mortal myself.
We get to see Liu Kang versus Shang Tsung, the final boss, which kind of happens in a few phases.
Yeah. Phase 1 is Mortal Kombat themed, punchy punch with Shang Tsung, Kerry Tagawa the actor.
Pretty cool. I like it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Lasts for about 30 seconds.
A lot of things in this movie clip along pretty fast. This is one of them. After Liu Kang kind of overpowers him in that like 1v1, Shang Tsung like invokes some of his power.
And this is the first challenge. Face your enemy. And in parentheses, enemies.
Because it's just multiple randos.
Just multiple red shirts.
Supposedly it's all the souls that Shang Tsung has like absorbed over the years or whatever, but it's
a missed opportunity to not have Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Art. Some of the other characters come. Tiger Roar guy.
Art gets one shot.
Monk.
Yeah. It's just like random like barbarian guy, samurai guy.
Joe Nakamura.
Liu Kang cleans these guys up.
Yeah.
He's like, it's just like whatever.
Right? Yeah.
It's like nothing. So like, Shang Tsung goes to this like elevated platform, like up these steps. Liu Kang runs up there, and then Katana says, "Face yourself."
Oh no, she says, "Face yourself," and then he runs up the stairs, and then she's like, "All right, now, phase 3."
Right. Like, what does face yourself even mean? Like, they cut it so weird. Because face yourself has no meaning in this fight. He runs up the stairs, and then she goes to the next one, which is face your worst fear.
Is that all you've got, sorcerer? Liu Kang!
I concede your soul. You will die.
Face yourself.
You can look into my soul, but you don't own it.
Face your worst fear.
I'm not afraid of my destiny. Face it!
Yeah, I guess face yourself is stairs, right? Stairs?
He's always struggled with him.
He's always struggled with him, and then I love the implication that face your fear, and Shang just turns into Chan, which to me implies that Liu was bullied by Chan. Yeah, he was getting picked on. Like, oh fuck, not Chan,
not Chan.
Some little bro.
So you think you can fight Mortal Kombat, huh? How about if I give you a wedgie?
Yeah, like pulls him in, does a nookie.
Yeah. It's like my worst fear, my older brother who bullied me my whole life.
His Lou doesn't have a shirt on. He's like, oh, notice you didn't have a shirt that leaves you open for Urple Nurples.
Yeah.
My
no. One thing that's like always been funny to me about this movie is like Shang Tsung and Liu Kang. They're at the top of the platform. They're facing each other. Shang Tsung transforms into Chan. And Liu Kang's like, Chan? Bitch, you just saw Shang Tsung transform. Are you fucking stupid?
Yes.
Do you really think that's Chan? Do you literally think Chan? Like, Shang Tsung could have like walked out of the room and then come back as Chan. And he'd have been like, I have something for you, Liu Kang. And then done that. Instead of just like Liu Kang witnessing the fucking transformation.
Nobody ever did that to Mystique in any of the X-Men. You know what I mean? Like, nobody was like, Wolverine?
Yeah. I saw you turn, bitch.
Yeah.
I saw the whole fucking thing.
Lou. Chan? It can't be you. Raiden sent me to help you. You're not really Chan. Remember when our parents died? And you promised that you would always take care of me? I remember. Now it's my turn to take care of you, brother. Come with me. Forgive you for letting me die. No. It wasn't my fault. Brother. No! Chan chose his own path. Every man is responsible for his own destiny. Shang Tsung killed my brother! You're mine!
Oh god, and then Chan's lines are just ingrained into my soul. Like, Raiden sent me here to help you. I forgive you for letting me die.
I forgive you for letting me die. It's like passive-aggressive guilt trip. Like,
it was totally your fault that Shang showed up in our front lawn.
Shot a cannon into my bedroom door.
Did a drive-by.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
It's so fucked.
Liu Kang, like, no, you're not Chan, you know? Like,
I'm calling horseshit.
It's like, okay, he finally gets there. And then it kind of becomes like the game, where like at the floor below them, the spikes come up from out of the ground, which is
like
super
the pit?
cool.
Yeah.
You get the pit level, essentially. This whole setting is really cool, by the way. Like, this temple they're fighting in, it looks fucking dope.
Right.
I love it. It's like classic Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of like the spikes are lined up perfectly with the Mortal Kombat logo.
Right, they're just underneath that.
It's just underneath that, yeah.
It's great. But they fight, you know, and it's pretty basic. Shang Tsung kind of beats his ass a little bit, but then Liu Kang discovers his inner power.
Then he catches a couple of his fists, and that's when special effects started coming out of Shang's face, you know, like, your souls have risen up against you. Free them!
How does he know that's happening? I don't know. How does he know they had an uprising within Shang Tsung?
Is that what's going on there? Could have fooled me.
Shang starts to lose some of his souls. Liu Kang whoops his ass and like gives him this killing blow of a fireball attack, which I have no idea how the fuck he could do that. I hate that they don't reference anything to do with inner power or like the ability to do that. I know they want to do an attack from the game, but I don't think he can just pull a fireball out of his ass. Like, it's one of those weird things though, like imagine if in the Street Fighter movie, like Ryu or Ken actually did a Hadouken. Like, someone would have to like explain that, right?
Oh, they did though.
But it was not.
The screen turned to white. That's what that implies.
The light went out, dude.
The light went out. It was an EMP.
Yeah.
It's even more jarring considering not only did they not really mention it, they proceed to not mention it or do it again or ever bring it up ever again in the sequel.
All right, if I was him in the sequel, I'd be doing it every time.
Yeah, that really would have come in handy in that Shao Kahn fight.
You wake up and Jade is kicking your ass, fireball, right? Smoke, fireball.
Yeah, when Shao Kahn turns into his shitty fucking Hydra animality, fireball.
Fireball. 3 reptiles.
3 reptiles, fireball, fireball, fireball.
3 fireballs.
3 fireballs.
Or 1 big one.
Would you rather have a reptile-sized fireball or
yeah, would you rather fight 100? Whatever.
Flawless victory.
Liu Kang says flawless victory after he knocks Shang Tsung into the spikes below with this fireball attack, but it wasn't a flawless victory.
Not even close.
They
Not even close.
very loosely use flawless victory in this movie.
That just means I won.
Right.
In this movie.
Just say victory.
Yeah, I win.
I win. Shang Tsung gets impaled through the spikes, and all his power is drained from him, so he just like immediately turns into a rotted corpse. I think it's kind of a cool transformation effect. And then all the souls that he captured are freed.
Which me and you noticed. It was a detail I had never noticed until watching it again this past time, was in the background you can see some of those fighters that Liu Kang had fought like 10 minutes ago floating around. But you don't see Art, you don't see Fighting Monk.
No.
You don't see, like Scorpion, Sub-Zero.
Chan is the one that like leaves like the portal of like lights and like shows up to Liu Kang as a spirit and like thanks him. Exactly.
Hop out and talk to
Art,
Johnny.
yeah, down there you see Art talking to Johnny Cage. He's like, I will always be with you, my friend. And they do like the hand palm like grasp thing.
You can't fake those moves.
Yeah. Just remember, you can't fake those moves.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of your fellas. Listen, you can't fake those moves.
Bit of a missed opportunity.
My spirit is finally free, my friend. Yeah, they just do the same thing with Art.
Yeah, it's like a reshot image of the dock scene, but just with a shitty blue filter over it.
Sindel is there with Katana. I will always be with you, my daughter.
Too bad you will live.
Yeah. So that's how Liu Kang wins Mortal Kombat. And it's like in the first game where he's like the main character, right? He is like in canon the guy that wins Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
So they're matching that. Liu Kang is like the main character, I guess, in terms of the story. I mean, it's a game where you can be anyone you want, but he's the guy. And they want you to be Liu Kang in the first game because they make his moves easy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like forward punch, forward kick.
Yeah. It's he's a bit of the Ryu of the game. He's supposed to be easy to get into.
Okay. So yeah, he's the guy, he defeats Shang Tsung and like all is happy in the world, right? Like Raiden is there to greet them afterwards and all our heroes are celebrating.
Jamming out to that one song from the opening of Hackers at the Temple of Light.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun,
This is a fucking jam, dude.
Yeah.
They actually go back to the Temple of Light, you're right. So it's like, I guess like they walked, or no, they got on a boat. They sailed back all the way to Hong Kong where the Temple of Light is, and then they started celebrating. Meanwhile, Sonya is wearing the same dress the whole trip because she didn't bring any fucking bags.
Yeah, oh shit, oh my god, that's right. That means they used that Stargate portal to get back to Shang Tsung's island and then hopped on his little Mortal Kombat ship. Who was the crew behind that? Who manned that ship?
Yeah.
To navigate it across the sea?
Well, if I've learned anything about Shang Tsung's henchmen, it's that anyone can give them orders and they will obey. Because Katana earlier, like, just commands them to stop and they do.
They're like, yeah, I guess,
We'll just follow orders that anyone gives. That's kind of our thing. Yeah, so they're back there at the Temple of Light, and it's all is right with the world moment. But something happens. We start to see some clouds and some lightning, and a giant figure forms in the sky who says he's come for their souls.
It's Brian Thompson.
But Raiden doesn't think so.
I've been waiting for you. What took you so long?
I guess you knew it would end this way.
Didn't have a clue. You humans are so unpredictable. I've got to tell you something. You guys did great.
What is it?
The Emperor.
Weak, pathetic fools. I've come for your souls.
I don't think so.
And then they strike a pose.
They strike a pretty sweet pose. I really like, actually, the way that pose is shot.
The way it's framed up.
Yeah, it's very nice. And then it ends, and that was Mortal Kombat.
The one pose, though, is just Sonya with one fist out.
One fist out, yeah.
One fist out.
Because she broke her wrist.
Because she broke her wrist. So, yeah.
That's the ending of Mortal Kombat. Pretty fucking sweet. I think I'm going to give this movie a positive rating. But before we do that, do you have any final thoughts on the movie itself? I got a few.
One thing I'd like to say is, like, after the sequel came out and bombed to hell and back, Lawrence Kasanoff did try to sue for the rights of these characters.
Okay.
And implied that he did a lot of the heavy lifting with character development when it came to these characters. Let me see if I can pull up direct verbiage from his claim. The Mortal Kombat franchise as it stands today is far more of a creation of Threshold, which happened to be Kasanoff's company, and Kasanoff than of Midway. Midway's creative input was almost entirely limited to the video games. On their own, the video games provided only minimal backstory and mythology, and only flat, stock characters with virtually no character development. Threshold was responsible for transforming each of the pattern or stock characters present in the underlying Mortal Kombat video game from an unprotectable idea into a fully realized, completely delineated, and independently copyrightable expression. He sued for the rights of all the Mortal Kombat characters up till Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and I think an additional 50.
How did it go for him?
He did not win. He lost hard.
Well, he did not write this movie, so I mean, the writer, Kevin Dromey, something like that, is not this guy. He's not the producer, so like he doesn't have a writing credit to his name on this movie. So, I mean, I get it if you're a producer, you have a lot of creative input, but I don't think that would work in a court case. Clearly it didn't.
Clearly it didn't. I mean, especially considering when you claim that these characters had no backstory, then they most certainly do, as you mentioned earlier. You would, like, the attract mode on the arcade would do these, like, little character cards and give you a little brief summation about that character, like Scorpion. And then you just hand wave all of that. They're the deadliest of enemies, but slaves under my power. So you acknowledge they do have some sort of backstory.
Yeah, good point. A couple small notes I have is that Jason Scott Lee, who played Mowgli in the live-action Jungle Book, and Ernie Reyes Jr. both auditioned for Liu Kang. Would have been interesting to see Ernie Reyes Jr. as Liu Kang, I think. But obviously it went to Robin Shou here. But before Robin Shou, Brandon Lee was the front runner to be Liu Kang. But he had died, so they did not move forward with that, obviously. But he is what was in mind, Brandon Lee.
I really like Brandon Lee in that performance. Oh my god, it's so unfortunate. Now, just as a side note, I have low-key always fan-casted, up until this recent Mortal Kombat movie, I've always fan-casted Shang Tsung as Jason Scott Lee. If they ever did another Mortal Kombat movie, they should get Jason Scott Lee to play Shang Tsung.
I dig it. Absolutely. Sean Connery turned down the role of Raiden. Thank God.
Thank God. Is that why you left the temple and run away, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah. They were in Thailand, and they were in some remote locations. It was hot as fuck. Kano's faceplate was sliding off due to the heat. So, these actors were working under really hard conditions. And interestingly, Surf Ninjas was also filmed in Thailand, where when I talked to Ernie Reyes Jr. and Nick Cowan recently about it, all they had to say was it was fucking hot. All of their memory is just how insanely hot it was in Thailand, and I think that was here as well.
So Ernie Reyes Jr. was basically I'm already in the neighborhood. Let me be in this movie.
Yeah. I'm already here. I doubt he wanted to go back there, though, after that movie.
Yeah.
Frank Welker voiced Khan at the very end of this movie, who very famously did Dr. Claw. I think he pulls kind of the same voice.
Yeah.
So, Josh, I'm going to ask, in your best Dr. Claw impression, can you do the Shao Kahn voice that we hear at the end of this?
You weak and pathetic fools. I've come for your souls.
I don't think so.
Do 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 do.
That was perfect. Well done, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
My last note is that Jade was originally supposed to be in this movie and fight Sonya. So that would have given her something else to do other than get revenge on Kano. Would have been interesting.
Oh my god. Yeah, in another world, I guess Cameron Diaz doesn't break her wrist. We get the Kano scene as it was originally intended, and possibly another fight scene with Jade. I would assume that got cut because Bridget Wilson wasn't very good at selling the choreography.
Probably something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's time for ratings, Josh. On any rating scale you want, what are you going to give the 1995 Mortal Kombat?
Okay, I'm going to give it 8 Cary Tagawa's telling you your brother's soul is mine out of 10. Sure, a lot of it's dated to fucking back. It's a 90s movie. A lot of it still holds up, though. There are a lot of character moments. A lot of the choreography, I think, still hold up. A lot of performances. Lyndon Ashby, Christopher Lambert really stand out in this movie. I respect it for having the audacity to just have 2 Asian guys fight each other at the end. They didn't feel the need to Jean-Claude Van Damme it and make the movie about Johnny Cage because he was white, and that's the most relatable character because he's white, right? Guile was never important to Street Fighter for real, but they wanted to change it. I'm glad they didn't do that with this movie, so I respect that. So I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, but god damn it, it hits all the right nostalgic parts for me that I have to give it a positive review.
Alright, that's cool. I respect that. I'm gonna give this movie a B. I think this movie is pretty fucking good. I think it's still the best live-action video game adaptation ever. I don't think any of them are perfect or A's, but I think this one is the best. And I'm talking in terms of movies here. Shows is a totally different beast. Last of Us is a banger. But in terms of live-action video game movies, this one excels. I think it's really good. I don't think it's perfect. It is a 90s movie with some shoddy 90s CGI, but it clips right along. It's paced very well. They do great things with the action scenes. They give great nods to Mortal Kombat fans, including something I forgot to mention, which is in the reptile scene. In that fight scene, Josh, there's a Mortal Kombat 3 code in the background on the wall.
That's so fucking awesome.
Now, if you remember at Mortal Kombat 3, there's a code entry thing where you can enter little symbols to do weird stuff,
little characters,
play Galaga or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And there's a code, I don't remember what it does, but there is one at the reptile level of the movie, so to speak. But I think this movie's pretty good, it's pretty fun, and I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Holds up way more than Annihilation, I'll say that much.
Absolutely. Annihilation is a shit show, and it actually kind of takes away some of the credibility of this movie.
It really does.
Fuck that shit. But that's all we got for this episode. Josh, I can't thank you enough for being here in person to do a live podcast. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes, exciting times.
I've really enjoyed hanging out with you. and going to conventions and going to Hollywood and all the fun stuff we've been doing, but also doing this, you know? If you're going to be here in person, we got to do the live podcast. And
Right.
I'm fucking so thrilled that you're here.
Does anybody else care? Is anybody else like, oh, finally, Josh got to meet Corey? Because that was exciting for me.
No, sorry.
Nobody gives a shit.
If you, the listeners, want to write in, you can email me at bigdumbmovie@gmail.com. My biggest ask for you is to leave us a positive rating and written review on Apple Podcasts. If you don't subscribe to us on YouTube, please do, and give us thumbs up on our YouTube videos. You don't have to listen there, but the thumbs ups help. That's all I got for this time. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for listening. We love you, and good night.